All right, yep, I'll load in here in just a moment. Ladies and gents, thank you for being here. 15,000 people for game number 1, and here we go. I'll be honest with you guys. I am so blown away already with the amount of support as we're going to change the colors here to red for sun-shin. But my personal goal going into Hidden Cup 4 was to break viewership of Hidden Cup 3, which was just such an insane time. There's so little distractions other than Twitch at that time, and it's going to be tough today, but I'm going to need you guys. Thank you, and thank you for being a part of this, even if you're watching later on YouTube, Dave. I can't wait to rewatch this 3 years from now. I think it's going to be one of those sets. Admiral in the red has chosen teal consistently throughout the tournament, but we are going to make that change because it clashes with blue. Playing as Vikings, and then Senjata. Surprise, surprise, Dave. Going for the Mayans.
And what do we always think of when we think of Mr. Yo, who we suspect Senjata might be? I still have a tiny little inkling. There's a 1% chance it could be MBL. We'll see further on in the set,
okay.
Tristan. But whenever we think of Mr. Yo, we think of Aztecs, Mayans.
Yeah.
And Incas sometimes. All the Mesoamerican civilizations.
And when I think of GL players, so teammates with the Viper, I tend to think picking Vikings in game 1. I remember Tato and Doubt doing it in the previous Hidden Cup. So maybe it is the Lord here in the red. We will see, but I've noticed that both players running forward rather quickly here to possibly go out and try and steal some resources, Dave. And the sheep for Senjata are very far forward.
Yeah, those sheep are going to be hidden for quite a while. He missed those on the way forward, and he's going to be looking for the boar. The boars? Oh my god, the boars for Admiral. Look at the locations, Tristan.
Whoa.
What, dude?
They're both...
Unfortunate.
I mean, they're both on the back-ish area, which is the way we script it. But it's almost so far away, Dave. Senjata's never going to see it.
He's never going to find it. Yeah, he might find this one on the left when he's leaving. Oh, no. Red's going to pull that in.
Yeah.
There's a convenient little path through the woods there, actually. So it's not fully behind the wood line.
And the thing is, Senjata has run forward without finding 4 of his sheep. I think this is perhaps too risky, but even Admiral can't find it. Oh my goodness, the lame's just not working out for either of them here, game 1. This is so funny, man.
Hidden Cup. More like Hidden Res.
Seriously.
They've gone in circles around these sheep and the boars. And no luck whatsoever for the players. So Senjata is going to head back an unsuccessful journey to his enemy's base. And pretty similar for Admiral. I mean, does he see that boar in the back, though?
He does, but the enemy's Mayans and already has Loom. So I feel like it's pretty silly to try and block the villager there. Plus, good players will find a way out of there. Senjata's got to be thinking, uh-oh, what if he stole 4 sheep?
Okay, he found 2 of them. He found 2 of them at the front. Yeah.
Okay, so he finds those, Dave, and he'll have to check the other areas. But if you know the enemy scout has been around your base, you can pretty much assume the other 2 are gone at this point.
Senjata, by the way, not shooting the boar with the TC either time.
No, he did the first time.
I don't believe you.
Okay, you don't have to believe me. I'm not here for you to believe me, but I'm pretty sure he did the first time.
Okay.
Things to think about. And I'm wondering if Senjata's gonna scout. Oh, he actually knows the sheep are there, Dave.
Oh, he knows. Okay, that's good then. Full res and his deer are really close too.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very pushable resources. Mayans versus Vikings. It feels like we've seen this matchup so many times. The Viking player trying to wall, trying to play defensive, build up their economy, and the Mayan player feeling that pressure to push, right?
Yeah.
So what does Senjata open with? Is it a man-at-arms play?
It's an interesting one. Because it could be so many different things, even though the Civ is a little one-dimensional and into archers. It could be Drush FC. It could be Drush Flush, as we call it, so Drush Fast Feudal. Also could be Man-at-Arms. And I think the one strategy that Mayans tend to struggle with is Man-at-Arms because they can't quite compete with the faster Feudal. But I say struggle as if that's poor for them. And here's a really weird deer lore here. I think we'll have to see if Senjata creates some militia, Dave. It doesn't look like he wants to.
Yeah, Admiral's going to go up on 21, and Senjata is going to gold.
Okay, yeah. You see the barracks up already. You see some house walls on the front. Villager going over to gold. That was a funny moment there. Senjata was trying to push the deer away from Admiral, and Admiral just shot it and said, nope. And it looks like it will be Man-at-Arms for Admiral. Man-at-Arms into Archers. And then are we seeing Militia? We're not, actually.
Men-at-Arms for... I just keep waiting to say for Sanjata.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing there. Why would he send one out to gold? Did he change his mind?
I think he spotted this, right? So I guess he's just going to play defensive at the start and try and play this into Archers. See, the thing is, if you're playing into Man-at-Arms against Vikings, Vikings have the higher HP Man-at-Arms, and you know their eco is going to be stronger because of free wheel. So sometimes it's better to just play defensive against it and just start the Archers faster than Vikings so you can get a lead there. Not easy, though. That's for sure.
Shot it.
All right, Dave. He sees it here. Neither player really showing first game of the day issues, right? You haven't seen any like weird misclicks. Players probably trained and practiced before this. And you can see the tracking is here, but also Admiral choosing to attack this Eagle, which is a great play. And there's the Archer range from Sanjata, and this is what happens when you want to play into straight Archers. You are really passive at the start.
I think if he tosses a wall between the Archer range and the house, he can drive this away, and then he's going to be fully walled, Tristan. He'll push this away, and if he focuses on the wall at the south there, Red's not going to get in.
Should
Just
be
hit
able
each
to.
of those a couple times, and...
Oh,
no, dude.
Can he quick wall it, though? He could potentially quick wall it. He's going to bail on it here, Dave, and that's a big moment for Admiral.
Yeah, that was maybe paying attention in some other area of the map there. That was unfortunate for Sanjata. I mean, one more click.
What is happening here? The lack of quick walls is astounding here, and Sanjata is not looking like the quick player we saw yesterday. That's going to be a villager down.
Yep, one villager down. Good blocks there from Admiral. Archer out on the field, which means these men-at-arms are kind of on the clock for how effective they're going to be, but he can run them around and idle the eco, keep the military at home, and Sanjata... It seems super avoidable, right?
Yeah.
One more click on that wall. That should be your only priority at that moment in the game. That should be your only focus because you know he's going to loop around.
And the standards we have for all these players, I think every player in this tournament should have had... I mean, if that initial wall doesn't happen, you can call it unlucky. But at least the quick walls on the golds and the wood line normally happen there. So Admiral will be very happy. That said, Admiral has had some idle TC time at home. And that shows that maybe his focus has been on the front. And I do have faith in the Mayans if they can get their Archer numbers rolling here, Dave. And it does seem like this is going to be the end for the Eagle for Sanjata, but also the end for the attack for Admiral. There's not much more he can do with this.
No, he can just waste time if he wants to, but he's not going to waste any time. He's going to run right into the TC. And see you later, Men-at-Arms.
Okay, how come like 30 seconds after I say that we're not seeing any signs that these guys need to warm up, these things happen? Sorry about that, players, I guess. But I guess they will need to warm up a little bit. I imagine that what happened there was Admiral tried to click behind the walls that he didn't know were there, and the units path that way. 2 ranges for Sanjata, Dave. Just 1 Archer range for Admiral. This is a heavy, heavy eco approach for Admiral.
Well, that's what you do with Vikings, right? Especially after you've done so much damage with your men-at-arms. Like, you killed a villager, you idled that many villagers around the golds. You forced so many walls out of him. And you kept his military at home for the start, so you gotta be feeling pretty comfortable if you're in Admiral's shoes right now.
Sanjata seems a little worried too, Dave. Not having that Eagle's gonna hurt here. It's rather annoying that the scout's over there. I bet you Sanjata will go over there at some point, but he's just researched Town Watch very early, but it can't help the spot.
By the way, badly.
Really?
Dude. If it's MBL.
If it's MBL, it'd be amazing because everyone thinks he died on the first day, Dave. And a great fight here for Admiral. Admiral's gonna, I think it'll end up being close because there's some weak ones in there, but Admiral's gonna take a better fight for me.
1 range against 2 range too.
Yeah.
Like, this is a huge advantage for Admiral right now. Sanjata, I feel like that wall just caused him so much grief.
It did. But also, look at the resources. Like, the macro has been pretty good for Sanjata. It's not like he's going to have a late castle age time. And he is still chasing this scout. I think Admiral will lose it here. And, okay, the scout goes down. No longer annoying. We'll probably see a second range. And we do for Admiral. These players know what they're talking about.
Okay, so what do you have to do if you're in Sanjata's position here? Because you're gonna be behind. You know you're against Vikings. You're minus a villager.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the army advantage, and this guy has wheelbarrow this entire feudal age, and is gonna have handcart as soon as he's up.
So
what are your options?
I could. Some players might justify a third range, Dave, just to get more archers out. But I think Sanjata, based on what we've seen from him playing Mezzo, he's just going to go for, well, yeah, some type of forward, or he's going to go for TCs because he seems quite good at that Mayan meta. Look at that uptime for both; it's very close, and it is 7 military versus 5 on the field. So you could easily just see this be ballistic archers and TCs for both of them.
That's quite good, actually, from Sanjata to get up that quickly. I was expecting Red to be much faster, but I guess Sanjata went out to the deer as soon as all the shenanigans happened in the back of his base.
Yep.
Sent 4 villagers out there and was able to get that food, and that helped him get up to the next stage.
You know, every single wood line is rangeable for Admiral. There's not a single wood line that is not. I suppose the same thing could be said for Sanjata, actually. So archers will really matter here, and Dave, you have the third range now for Sanjata. I would say perhaps the one weakness of Admiral, and I say this after having seen 2 sets with him, of course, is sometimes maybe he's a little too meta. Like, do you remember, I think it was Admiral on that cross game yesterday, Dave?
Cross game.
It was, I believe it was Admiral who tried to go fast imp and then got caught out because he was sitting back too much on 2 ranges.
Oh, where he had all 4 pawns as Byzantines.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that was Admiral. But anyways, like the 3 range thing is really going to catch Admiral off guard. All he's looking to do is what I said, probably ballistics and boom. Not saying it's bad, but this is going to be something that he's not going to be too excited to see in a second. That is if Sanjata spots him.
Well, I think if you're Admiral, you don't go to this main hill, right? You know where the wood line is, you know where the gold is, you know where that one wall is.
Yeah.
You wait till your army's upgraded and then see if you can either pick a villager on the wood line or get in through the wall.
Town watch is going to matter so much here, Dave. Will Sanjata react? He was a bit slow earlier. An instant reaction. I think he's been looking for this. And I guess the good thing for Admiral is that he's forcing a reaction, though, Dave.
Don't go that way. Don't go that way, though. Go around the other way, right? Oh, I guess he doesn't have the upgrades yet. Okay.
And he's just hitting here. But, oh, man, Sanjata getting some kills. And now crossbow's in. And now Admiral's going to run away. But on the bright side for Admiral, Sanjata has to chase now. And in this time, there's a lot you can do. You can go for a town center at home to gain an eco lead. You can go for a siege workshop. And you can just mass more archers if you're Admiral.
Yep. Feels like he could have gone around to the left and trapped that whole army, but...
Yeah. Okay, this is so weird, though. You go 3 ranges. The normal follow-up when you have a lot of archers is ballistics. Sanjata just says, screw it. I'm going for a boom and adds 2 TCs. That's crazy.
How are you going to sustain? I guess he's going to slack on production from a couple ranges. Like, just because you have 3 doesn't mean you have to produce from 3, right?
Yeah.
You can adapt and add 2 TCs like he's done. Meanwhile, Admiral has gone for the university.
And he's switching into early elite skirm. This is kind of the opposite of what I expected here. The Viking player probably figuring my eco is going to be solid. So let's make sure I don't lose with military. At early elite skirm with both upgrades, that's pretty insane investment, Dave. I just love Sanjata's TC, though, on this bottom side. It protects the other side of the wood line, and it protects the gold. Sweet stuff.
Do you like those sneaky crossbows? They're just waiting.
Yep. I like that, too. And it's in a nice position because that wood line and gold is there. But I also think Sanjata has bested him with the TC. As we see Elite Skirm.
Ooh, Admiral sees this army, by the way, on the left side of his base. The really good scouting from him putting a couple skirms over there.
I think he was just waiting for it, Dave. And yes, Sanjata will gain a villager lead, but I don't think his crossbowmen can contribute anything to the fights now.
Yeah, they're going to be stuck over there for quite a while. Like, he might get out. He might be able to juke him around the wood line.
Oh my goodness.
He's not going to be able to do any damage.
3 fights there. Even I didn't expect these crossbows to actually be hitting and doing damage. And Sanjata hasn't reacted to the third one, Dave. Look at the villagers that went down on that wood line. And this is as he's trying to save his crossbowmen. And this is the risk of going for a boom when someone invests into military. Big position for Admiral now.
Yeah, now I'm getting some first game of the day vibes. That is
Yeah.
you should never lose. What did he lose there? 6 villagers on a wood line to just a random raid by 5 crossbows. That
It's one of those deals though where that's such a great play from Admiral because he will have recognized all those situations himself, and to get over there when he was already focusing on defending and hitting the other wood line is great. And Admiral seems the faster player of the two right now. If you look at the micro on the hill, he really is outpacing Senjata, which is not what I expected after seeing the players play in the earlier rounds, but that's because we were speculating on who the players were playing against.
still being annoying with those crossbows too.
Yep.
Picked off another crossbow from Blue and then Blue and then Senjata not microing the army on the left. He's only left with 4 crossbows over there.
Yep. This is where you've got to start thinking about something else. So he's got a Mangonel here, Dave.
Eagles, I think.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
getting the armor.
That was a big hit, though, on those skirmishers, and now the skirms need to run away. And yeah, Eagles are a good approach. It's an interesting one now because Vikings do have great infantry to potentially counter that. So they might not think about it now, but later on could go berserks or champions.
Here come the crossbows again, back to the wood line. Yeah, he's learned his lesson this time.
All right.
Get inside.
Bringing crossbows over to deal with it himself. A little awkward because there's skirms mixed in. And look at the groups from Admiral. He's got 3 armies right now and 3 town centers at home, and he sees the barracks on the front, Dave, and can even deny them.
That kills so much momentum from Senjata. Like, even just delaying those for 30 seconds. Now Red knows about the switch. I mean, he had to suspect it anyway, as a big Mangonel shot's coming in here.
I'm borderline speechless here, game 1. Like, the play from Admiral is disgusting, and it's so much greater than anything we saw in the other sets. He's really stepped it up a notch. Great micro there against the Mangonel. Here's still over here on the wood line. Here making a Mangonel too. This is ridiculous. I mean, he's absolutely smothering Senjata. This is unreal.
Yeah, and it has me questioning, who is this Admiral
I
guy?
know. Okay, he's repositioned on the other wood line, Dave. 10 villagers killed, 0 lost for Admiral.
It almost seems like there's any other civ other than like Mayans and Aztecs.
Yep.
And there'd be no chance here for Senjata. But like I always say, Mayan privilege, you can come back into games that you seem out of.
Yeah.
And with the Eagle spam, if he finds any openings, if he finds some good fights in the middle, there's definitely still an opportunity here for Senjata, especially since he went for 3 TCs right away.
Yeah, you also have the fact that for now, it's only ranged units for Admiral. So a Mangonel could smash the crossbows and skirmishers, and then suddenly it's only Eagles on the field and there's nothing from Red. But man, the villager count, it's so high for Admiral. I'm so impressed with how he's been able to focus with all these armies.
Yeah, Chad is spamming supplies for a reason. Supplies is coming in for Admiral, and he's going to be shifting or thinking about shifting into longswords and then into champions.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's that option. Typically, you only see that as you're on your way to Imp, Dave, but I think if you're this far ahead and you know it's going to be Eagles that will save Senjata, it does make sense to possibly just get some longswords on the field. Very rare, but makes sense.
Look at that eco KD. It tells
insane.
you the story of the game, right? 12-0. Wow.
I just, again, it's just incredible what Admiral's been able to do. And there you have the Mangonel micro that was good for both of them, and it might end up being a 1-for-1, but it's not a 1-for-1. And the villager comes over to repair this, Dave. There's also a 4th town center at home for Admiral. Crazy boom. Wow.
I don't think the Eagles are going to find any holes either.
I like how the
There's
1 man at arm
nothing.
shows up to deny the castle. Yeah, that's the problem with longsword, is especially when you have 4 town centers producing villagers. You don't really have the food to get the upgrade and to also make the units.
Blue's got a Mangonel in defense, but he's fighting against 2 Mangonels on a hill. We'll see what he can do here. Eagles are swooping around the other side, but the crossbows are still there, Tristan.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard for them to dive.
Can you just go after the crossbows here? You can, and that was just great from Admiral. He realized that his crossbows would be the target. He does lose his Mangonels, but I feel like the crossbows will take out these Eagles anyways. But they are holding their own there.
Yeah, it's not really microing those, so... Not focusing those down, and the castle now up at the front, and plumed archers coming out for Senjata.
Yeah, Dave. And while the military count is still very high for Admiral, he's just patrolled into a castle on the front, losing some man-at-arms. I mean, supplies isn't cheap. Man-at-arms still aren't cheap. He still hasn't gone longsword, and now he's probably thinking, uh-oh, was supplies a mistake for me? Like, should I have maybe just gone up to the Imperial Age?
I think he probably should have.
Yep.
You have so much momentum. You're putting so much pressure on your opponent. Why change it up? Like, why react to what they're doing? You should be making them react to what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the better play is just continue with ranged units and doing what you're doing. Make defensive castles and go up to Imp. And then you can still go with Arbalest, and then you can maybe switch into Berserks or Champions in the Imperial Age. But I think both players will make it to the Imperial Age. And one thing I've learned with Senjata's play is that Senjata does not bow out quietly. We saw that amazing Mudflow game yesterday against Gonzalo Pizarro. That was disgusting. And anytime I see Senjata in a game with military, I think, all right, this player's going to fight and fight hard to make sure he can bring it back. And you see that now, Dave. Look in the middle here. You've got some exposed crossbowmen. They're going to go down. You see some eagles looping around. Look at Admiral start to panic a little bit. He's got a castle behind this and maybe even thinking about stonewalling up. I guess the castle will go up, though.
Yeah, so many villagers building that. There's no way Blue can deny. And Blue's just hitting the wall. He's like, I want to get in here.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it's completely open over to the left there, but there's the castle. And there's the army from Red. Plumed archers do quite well against all the options that Admiral has on the field right now.
Yeah, it's just a numbers thing. Numbers thing and lack of ballistics for the plumed archers compared to the crossbows here. And the crossbows, I still feel like will get good value. Taking the eagles out of the picture. And the plumed archers still not having the numbers for me, Dave. And that's good overall play, I'd say, from both players. Senjata probably a fight that he should take because he'll get trapped anyways. I like the clear up. I also like the fact that he's getting relics already. This will be the third relic for Admiral in just a second.
I hate the fact that Senjata lost those plumes for free.
I think maybe he should run away there.
Especially if you're going up to Imp. Like, you want to build up that mass, right? You want to have that ball of 20, 30 plumes behind your eagles to deal with the champions. If Red is indeed going for that. And look at all the barracks on the front. He is going for that.
Yeah, but do you think that maybe Admiral's caught in two minds here? He's making a mix of everything, but he has lost a lot of longswords. So he's shown Senjata, and Senjata's happy to just make more plumes, I feel. This is the problem.
I mean, maybe it's always when you get later Imperial against Mayans and you're Vikings, that's always going to be the issue, right?
Yep. Here you see an engagement. You see Admiral pull back. Admiral first thing in the Imperial Age.
That castle's so unnecessary.
What?
It's so unnecessary.
But if it goes up, that would be sick.
Yeah,
it's
but like
I agree with you, though. Well, it's not going to be spotted there, Dave. People saying doubt right now. I guess if you follow this up with Trebuchets and Senjata wants to commit to plumed archers, you don't have those castles, of course. You can't create the plumes as quickly. So we'll end up working out for Admiral as the eagles are running back here for Senjata. They're not being tracked properly, actually. So villagers could go down in the stone.
Yeah, villagers going down in the north for Admiral as well. So Senjata, kind of taking his turn and raiding in multiple angles. But he's going to have to worry about the Treb War pretty soon here. Trebuchet's coming out for Red, and I see a Berserk as well.
Okay, would have loved to see the Berserk. Dave, this is what Senjata's known for. Falling behind in games and coming back with dominating raids and understanding the map. Now, he's found his match here in the semifinals because Admiral has been able to get relics, and get stone walls up, and get that crucial castle position, but we're starting to see the Vil count close in. We still don't even see two-handed swordsmen yet for the Admiral.
Yep, and another castle over on the north side of Admiral's base. He's going to put that down in defense, so both players now are going to have pretty secure economies.
Yep.
Senjata with a castle in the middle and a castle to the right. And they can basically just focus on this push down the gut, too.
Yep, and I think that's bigger for Admiral because he has the relics. He has his flank secured. But he is outnumbered with the trebuchets here, Dave. And he actually is going to run out of stone here in a second. He got raided on both stones at the same time. And there's still plumes and eagles on in the north one. And so this could hurt.
He doesn't... Okay, I think he unqueued a unit to get some more gold back and buy some more stone. But he's going to be constantly buying stone here.
Yeah. And you know, with Champion and Arbalest, it feels like it could be strong against Eagle and Plume. But if the Mayan player keeps their castles up and it's just straight plumed archer, I mean, the champions feel so weak long-term against this.
It's going to feel real bad for Admiral if he loses that castle in the middle. Suddenly, Sunjata has a castle in the middle. You don't. He's pushing across the map with Trebs. Here come the two-handed swordsmen to try and deal damage to the Trebs. I can't help but feel like that's a waste, though.
It's desperation, isn't it? He recognizes that it's going to be bad if he loses the castle, but he loses the castle anyways. If he takes out 2 Trebs, he'll take it, and he does take 2 Trebs. But Dave, he's going to have to worry now because the plumed archers could continue to mass. I think it's important for Admiral, though, to maybe still keep these trebuchets alive somehow.
I mean, now there's nothing to prevent the plumes from just coming into this middle area, running around your Arbalists, your Mangonels, as he takes a shot.
Yeah, it's not really ideal when you're in the Imperial Age and you're sitting here in Admiral's position, right? This is not what you draw up, but he's still got the military lead. I don't even know where the army is. It must be in other areas. He still has the military lead. He's still trebbing down the enemy castle. And if he takes down that castle, I think it's more than fine for Admiral.
Oh, he's got one castle that doesn't have a waypoint.
Really?
So
which one?
There's plumed archers in his base that are just hanging out near the castle.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, it says Admiral has 60 military, and now we're starting to see it. And Admiral says no castle, no problem, Dave. He'll take out more trebuchets than Sunjata was able to take out, and the plumed archer number is just not high enough right now, as we actually see the eagle upgrades for Sunjata. So he wants to switch into eagles.
Yep, El Dorado just coming in here. You see your opponent has two-handed swordsman, though. Like, plumed archers counter everything he's making right now. Arbalest, two-handed swordsman. He doesn't have onager yet. Why not just continue massing plumes? I guess he's going to try and do both things at once.
Yeah, I think, considering that Admiral's being so good here to go, wow, look at this, two-handed swordsman raiding the gold. But considering Admiral's doing the wise move to go for onager now, I think it will work out. Not work out, but it will be good to have some eagles on the field. The problem for Mayans is just, you don't have the relic control. You're now off your gold. You're now off your stone. I mean, Vikings can definitely outlast you with his comp because it is not very gold heavy. And he doesn't have the long-term gold control.
They can outlast you if the Mayan player doesn't get into your eco with eagle raids.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen that for years and years and years, right? The Vikings being ahead going into Imperial Age, and then their base isn't locked down against a Mesosiv, and they get raided to death. But onager is now in it, and they're looking for big shots. The eagles looping around from the right are going to clear those up.
I think the issue here, Dave, is can Sunjata take out the Trebs? If he can take out the Trebs, then he'll be in a good spot to hold this position. It was a great fight for Sunjata, who actually takes the score lead, Dave. The military count is higher than Sunjata has seen in a long time. The Eagle Micro is amazing, Dave. And one Treb at least will go down here.
Yep, one Treb, and then he most likely runs away with those again. Plumed archers still firing from behind, and more eagles coming. These eagles have like 100 HP, so they're really, really tanky.
At the same time, the amount of onagers coming forward from Admiral, keeping the plumed archers honest, and the plumes are hesitant to really take consistent engagements, and now Champion is in for Admiral as he will defend that trebuchet. Just barely.
Oh, Sunjata's got to be looking out for the big shots as well, and he sends villagers forward. The Treb is going to stay alive here.
Wow. That might just be it. If he can hold on a little bit longer here, Admiral, he doesn't have to worry about what Mayans can do to him long term. I just love the onager production, Dave. It's such a clunky unit. It's so awkward, but he's had the numbers, and he's just had enough here. Sunjata actually has the population lead, but he just does not have the position. Also, Champion on the gold at the same time, Dave.
Yeah, it feels like a really tough position for Sunjata to fight here. I mean, he has the superior army. He's taken out the trebuchet, so no more threat to the castle. But Admiral with a fantastic position on that hill there. And more villagers coming forward. Is this another castle here from Admiral?
He's got some decisions to make now because he is in a spot where, as this champion is still raiding the gold, this is in a spot where the lead plume eagle combo looks a lot stronger. And so you try and invest into a castle there and that fails, and that could be seen as a big loss. You might just honestly have to post up with castles all over your map and just take this game another 20 minutes. Because Senjata is not going away quietly.
Yeah.
But he's going to still stay on the hill, Dave. He's going to try the castle. He's got the Treb there. And Senjata, I think, realizing the long-term issues, is going to send some eagles out to try and raid.
I'm looking at gold right now. Like, where are players taking it? I only see the one for Senjata in the south. As Red comes forward with a castle here.
Plumes are so good here, man. Plumes are just disgusting. And also, we've seen the new unique tech for Mayans for their skirmishers. And what can Vikings do against that? These skirmishers, many people feel like that change of unique tech was actually a buff to Mayans. They're firing an extra javelin. I even forget the name of the tech, Chad. You're going to have to help me out here. But Senjata's at 200 pop right now. The Eagles are in, Dave. You see the Eagles running by the castles here. But it still should be dealt with at least. I think now for Senjata, he just has to push this castle back and maybe start to expand a little. What a ridiculous game.
Yeah, after all that early pressure from Admiral, too. The skill from Senjata to just even stay in the game as his skirmishers almost get wiped up by the Onager there. The resilience is insane from Senjata. But the planning and the peace of mind to play it a little bit slower from Admiral is really nice to see.
You know, the stone wall on the left side looks amazing now, doesn't it? As fortified walls even coming in. Because if those plumes could run in, absolute nightmare for Admiral. He doesn't have the pace to keep up with elite plumes. But I do see Senjata coming over here with villagers to make a siege workshop to try and ram down those walls. As still, these castles are very important, but it looks like Admiral's made a mistake. Okay, never mind. He's going to roll away with his Treb. And Onagers behind the castle means that the rams for Senjata will probably be very ineffective here.
Yeah, I don't really understand that ram switch. It feels like resources you could spend somewhere else, especially if there's onagers on the field behind the castle. But the plumes are behind, still doing damage to the reinforcements.
Lions are just insane, Dave. It is 3-2 with the relics. The relics are actually rather far forward for Senjata. And again, stone's an issue, but it's more of an issue for Senjata now, as he is actually off of stone because of that castle. And it has to buy stone soon, maybe, to keep the castle up.
Senjata stonewalling on the right side of his base. We're in for a long one here, I think.
Oh, man, it reminds me of Hidden Cup 2 semifinals. You know, I think it was the second semifinal. It was Viper and MBL. That game went on for almost
Robin
2
Hood
hours.
Against Eric the Red, right?
What a 6 set, yep. I think on my top 10 Hidden Cup games video, I had that at number 2. And big shot here. Oh, and he just misses there. And the confidence from Senjata to actually go after the Onager there was pretty sick. But Siege Ram isn't in yet, Dave. These Eagles are really expensive. Can they take out the Trebs? You're kidding me. Are they actually going to get those trebuchets? You're going to get...
Is he going to do this again? He's already done this once in the middle of the map.
How? How is he doing this? And now Siege Ram is in. If he could take out that Onager, which happens to be very weak back there, he could maybe take the castle down.
The castle's going down.
Just
Just attack it with those skirms. They're rapid fire.
You are kidding me, Senjata. The castle is down, Dave. The Onager, as I said, should go down if he notices it's weak. He might forget, and the Onager's getting huge value. But there it goes, and now Admiral has to back away, and now Senjata is ramming the left side.
And Senjata got some fortified wall tech of his own, so how often do we see this, Tristan? In Arabia 1v1, both players have gotten fortified wall, and Admiral's gonna fall back here, and oh man, that feels like a big momentum shift.
I mean, the stakes are higher than ever, Dave. The prize pool higher than these players have ever experienced. Makes sense that the gameplay in a Game 1 semifinal would be crazy. Hey, imagine if people get here in 15 minutes thinking that the show was just about to start because we moved it up today. They're going to be pissed they missed this as the champions raid in the back.
Yeah, only one plumed archer there at the moment, but he's producing a few more, so he should be able to clear that up. Looking at gold right now, Sanjata's got like one pile left, and I don't know where red is mining gold, actually.
It's going to get to the point where both players are going to be completely out of gold, and both civs actually suck without gold.
Well, Mayans, do they really anymore with the rapid-fire skirms?
That too, and then maybe, you know, the champions would be sick. Because while it does cost gold, the champions for Vikings I could see being very strong. He's got to be careful here, Admiral. Because, yeah, he's getting his own siege ram. The siege rams are really tanking a lot of shots. And on the left side, we have a rewall, successful rewall from the Admiral to protect the back area of his eco. Truthfully, there's not too much back there except wood lines.
So, Relic update, Admiral has 3 and Sanjata has 2.
Okay. So, I'm thinking this comes down to who's selling at the market too, Dave. Because selling resources at the market is going to give you some gold. And then also conserving your gold numbers. Like these plumed archers and the eagles. Plumes aren't the most expensive unit in the world, but I think you've got to keep them alive as long as possible. And Admiral's just going to use rams for gold here. Look at this. Siege ram is in. He could honestly push this with that many siege rams. There's no eagles.
Yeah, and they're going to soak up a ton of fire. And no eagles because no gold for Sanjata.
It makes perfect sense in an archer war, guys. It looks weird, especially if you're rather new to the game. But look at what it's soaking up. And this is going to force Sanjata to make more eagles. Can he get the eagles in here to save his trebs, Dave? What a big loss this could be. The trebuchets.
Castle goes down. No stone to repair. Or I guess he had stone, but he wasn't repairing. The Eagles are going to finally clear up the Rams, but they've done their job. They took out the Trebs. They pushed this. And once again, Admiral is knocking at the door. We'll see if Sanjata can push him back again. He is trying to raid on the left-hand side, but he's running into a castle.
Yeah, a great castle to have there. You got to think Admiral is feeling good about this position now. Having that additional relic, having taken out that castle, has his own castle in the perfect spot. Really needs to make units there. It's actually pop capped. So can't get units out to defend that yet. We'll keep an eye on it. But it is only 150 population for Sanjata, Dave. And I think that tells the whole story here. He's behind in eco and in military. And in relics. Just doesn't seem to be enough eagles. When they do trickle in here, the plumed archers are good. But they're still dying to some elite skirms slowly but surely. As we see rams coming in. Sanjata may be losing hope as the castle was defended on the left side, and we see the rewall for the Admiral.
Yeah, I'd like to see more production buildings forward, I think, from red. Just get some maybe archer ranges in the middle of the map, just so it's harder for blue, if he wipes up your army, to push back. And so that your reinforcements are a little bit closer, right?
Yeah, maybe a few more champions, too. Because the Eagles, they are doing enough right now. The problem is, the champions are good against Eagles. The champions get absolutely wrecked by the plumes. And so your ranged units for the Vikings, it does not do near as much against Eagles as the ranged units from Mayans do against your champions. But if you outlast Dave, it can be a good strategy, and I think the castles are at least there for long-term success for Admiral. But I just don't know if the army's there.
These Mayan skirmishers are ridiculous. Actually ridiculous. He's pushing them back again.
I think it's just so comical how the devs were like, okay, Obsidian Arrows is OP. Let's do this instead. Like, I remember Dogal immediately was like, wait, you just buffed Mayans? Like, what in the world? These skirms are nuts. They're even doing well against the heavy mix of champions and rams. And now you see the plumes heading to the left again, and I can't help but feel like Sanjata and Admiral just need to both continue to do a good job of trying to break the defenses in some way. Like this right side, as you see Admiral making some buildings now, if he can get some rams over there, that would be sick.
Yeah, and he's probably going to shift his push over there pretty soon. I don't want to ask this question. If this goes on long enough, is it a wood game?
I mean, if it goes on long enough, the answer is yes, but I think it'd have to go on for at least another 45 minutes before we start having that conversation. But this is not really a post-him. matchup where the game can be ended with a Hussar raid. So it's going to be a weird one. So strap in, folks.
If you get enough of these skirmishers, the Rams don't do much.
That's true. We might actually be seeing the last tournament that this tech exists in this fashion, too. If it's this strong, and like, let's say this game just ends up being a skirm spam win for Sanjata, we might look back at this and say, crazy. But Dave, this is also the first, look at the micro from Sanjata. This is also the first time I've ever seen it used in serious competitive situations, and it's destroying right now.
Yep, those archer ranges forward are producing more skirms for Admiral. Tristan, this game is this is moving towards a wood game.
This is moving towards 2 hours at 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we don't know what happens in the games. Of course, we don't know who the players are. But the semifinals were actually played during the quarterfinal cast yesterday, just like all of the main event, except for the final. A lot of that goes down behind closed doors for scheduling and hidden purposes. And so at the end of the show yesterday, Robo just sent a message before the end of the stream and said, hey, just FYI, tomorrow's going to be a long one. You might want to start earlier if you're comfortable. And that's why I sprung Dave. I like talked to Dave and said, hey, surprise, we're starting an hour earlier. So something tells me that maybe 1 or 2 games, or going into this, I thought maybe 1 or 2 games would be insane, and I didn't think it'd be the first game.
So what do you think about red teching into light cav right here?
Well, pop efficiency is the problem. And I could honestly see Viking light cav being a move that would kill him. It's just a grind from here. It's just every building you can ram down. Is he going for the monastery? The relics are right there. Well, that does something.
If he can kill that and then hold that position,
yeah,
and prevent the little gold trickle.
I mean, he's also done a fantastic job of holding hills, Dave. Like, every fight that Admiral's taking, he's at least taking on the hill. I do feel like that's not a position where he should be able to snag the relics for himself. I am curious if he's going to take the risk, though, because 100 gold is, it's not easy to come by right now for either player. This is a good move for Admiral. Have you ever
seen... the way he's taking wood forward, too. He's not taking the secure wood lines. Like, he's got a few in his base.
Okay. Yeah, that's
like one right in the middle that's completely safe, and he's gone forward. So that makes me think that he's kind of playing all the angles, right? Like, if this becomes a wood game,
yeah,
I'm going to steal that forward wood as early as I can.
Again, I can't help but think back to Eric the Red versus Robin Hood, Hidden Cup 2 semifinals. If you have not seen the game, make sure you go back and watch it at some point. And we thought going into that it was Leary versus Viper, and then we saw the post-imp wood control. And we said, is this actually MBL? And many people think MBL are out. Of course, there's a lot of great players in this tournament. But in terms of post-imp, dude, one of the best out there. Just things to think about as the skirms are just continuing to sit on the hill. That hill has changed things so much because he's fighting with worse skirmishers. The champions aren't doing super well.
That was a good mix-up from Admiral. He was pushing on that one side so hard, trying to control that hill to the left of this.
Yeah.
And then he just suddenly switched up, waited for 2 rams, pushed the monastery, and he's going to hold those relics. He doesn't even need to bring them home.
Yeah. And then in theory, you mix in the champions now. We're seeing a decent champion number instead of a trickle, Dave. But now the plumed archers are here, but the skirmishers are going down. Still 180 pop for both. Ram meat shield mattering, plumed archers mattering, Eagles getting in.
Too. He should be able to wipe this up now. Sanjata, I think Sanjata, what he needs to do in this fight right now, send your big ball of skirms and just sit it on that hill. Sit it right next to all this stuff.
This is so weird. I don't think I've ever seen so many skirmishers in 1v1 before. It makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but it also is very, very unique. I'm liking the reinforcements from Red. Look at all the production buildings. In fact, you can see the difference. You can see the queue with Capture H at the top left and top right. And Dave, Admiral refuses to quit on this hill.
Yeah, I think Blue definitely had a moment there where he could just. There's another one right here. Move up your skirmishers. Just sit them right next to them. Don't stop fighting up the hill.
Yeah.
You've got a ram there. Just take that position. You'll kill all the reinforcements coming in, and you'll secure those relics again.
So
now he's moving.
I know some people are going to be thinking about it, Dave, as you see him move up the hill. There you go. Do you think that maybe Senjutsu could have used a little more foresight to move a relic to the back of the base, or is that too much to ask in a crazy game?
I think that's too much to ask in a game like this.
Okay. Here comes the ram. Yeah, this might just swing the hill back in Senjutsu's control, Dave. Certainly no shortage of wood for either player. They both have 60 on wood right now. Oh, God. Oh, my word. It's all about that relic right now. This is like, if you like to capture the relic game mode, this is as close as you get to it in competitive AoE 2. Are you ready for a long day, Dave?
You know what, Tristan? You know what I'm starting to think? You said that it's going to be a long day. There's going to be a lot of long matches. I'm thinking it's going to be a long day because of this one match.
That's
We're
true.
going to be here for a long time.
Yeah. Like, what would you choose, though? Would you choose to have, like, one really long game or a bunch of somewhat long games? I think I would choose the second one.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, one to go down in the history books for sure, as the monk was ready, and the relics are coming back in for Senjata. And the population still 185 to 185 for both, but Senjata's kind of having wood problems. You see the two skirmishers for Admiral hit this wood line. He also is down here in the south with Champions, Dave. So Admiral, I think, is in a better position to last this one out.
Yeah, Admiral's done a better job raiding, which is ironic considering that Senjata is Mayans, and we usually think of them raiding the Viking economy, right?
But I also feel like Mayans just have the potential to actually finish the game off in a normal fashion. With Ram, Skirmisher, Plume, I think you could win the game. And you now see armor coming in for Cav. So Admiral's thinking about light Cav, Dave. I'm curious. I can't say it's bad, but you brought it up. Viking Cav, the weakest in the game, right? I think, no, not quite the weakest in the game. I think Korean Hussars are even worse than Viking light Cav. It's close. My goodness. You know, imagine an eagle getting back there. You see this eagle from Senjata on that wood line. Imagine it getting back to other areas, as most of the wood for Admiral and Senjata is being chopped in the middle. But there are some other areas. Hard to cast, to be honest with you viewers, because it's not like, oh, big moment, a skirmisher just died. Did you see the way he patrolled that ram? Oh my God. This is quality patrol work. It must be Viper. You know, we can't really do any of that here, so we're doing our best.
Like, where do we go from here? Do we ever move outside of this middle battle other than tiny little raids?
Well, not really. But I think there's a point where a player's going to gain confidence to go for about 5 siege rams. That's what it'll come down to. 5 siege rams, and then just go in for a push that could end the game. Sneaky
By the
stable
way,
for Admiral.
for a while there, Senjata had 9 villagers queued up in 1 TC.
Huh.
He's evened it out now, but that was kind of weird to me because you feel like you would either select all TCs or maybe just, you know, hit the villager button a couple times on one.
Yeah, Dave, Senjata is really, I think, struggling to get any control in this game because he's now falling back in the middle a little bit. He's constantly reacting. Like, you look at the villagers in the wood line there, and he's currently at 90 villagers. Now, I know he's Mayans, but I think I'd prefer to have 110 villagers if this is becoming a wood and food game and skirm production than, you know,
Well, he got raided quite a bit. That's why I was looking at the villager production.
Yeah.
He started reproducing about like 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
So he's going to be on his way back, and he's going to clear up this skirm army in the middle again, or at least push it back.
Yeah.
Light Cav are starting to be massed for Admiral along the left side of the map, but actually it only looks like 2 of them.
Yeah. I think maybe use the light cav to raid vills, and you don't use the light cav against the skirms. I was thinking light cav against the skirms, which feels right in most situations, but I think against Mayan skirmishers, it's kind of a waste of pop. But I think the big thing this might come back to is Senjata doesn't have defensive castles everywhere. Like, there's not a defensive castle in the south anymore. So raids can actually do something. You look at Admiral. Now, granted, he has no wood left, but he's got castles. Okay, you know what? Those castles look pretty silly now. But I think people understand what I'm saying. The defense seems to be there for the long term, at least for Admiral.
Those Mayan skirms are terrifying in the middle.
Yeah. And you could...
It's machine gun, dude.
And now actually look at it, with only 100 villagers versus 120, it's 93 military versus 65, simply because Senjata has the additional pop space. So on the flip side, if you have the better skirmishers, you mix in a few rams here, maybe you could win the game. And look at all the lumberjacks in the middle for Admiral. The light cav won't do anything on the left.
Decided to take that wood line. He's still taking the other wood line forward on the right. Probably Senjata, if he notices that, send a couple skirms over there to deny. Also taking a wood line in the middle to the left, and he had tried previously to come forward and take the one on the far left.
I like the annoyance factor here. Admiral says, nope, you left with your plumes. I'm going to keep a stable up at least. And he could raid that wood line there, Dave. But just lines and lines and lines and lines of skirms. Senjat's even making pikemen to probably just to take out the rams, honestly. But it might be helpful, of course, against the light cav, as the light cav are in the south.
Yeah, if the light cav can even force Senjata to invest into the halberdier upgrade, like that's a win for Admiral, because that's a big investment. But I think he can make do with pikemen. They're 4+4. He has all the infantry upgrades because he got it for the Eagles. So they should work.
All right. Still Admiral holding on hills and mixing in the rams now, which should mean that the fight is much better. These Mayan skirms are insane, though. I imagine you must be new. If you're new to the game and you're trying to learn the civilizations, to try and figure out what to do, you're probably Senjating some things down about Mayans. And it's not just plumes, it's not just eagles anymore, Dave.
Wow.
Show some energy. Come on.
We've come. It's this late in the game. You're already saying Senjating things down.
I've been waiting for 4 days. All right. That was the moment. That was my moment. Let me have my moment, people.
All right.
Very energetic, enthused Dave here. Excited about the skirm v skirm battle we have. But I you know, as we've continued to say the same things, I think if this game goes on for another 20 minutes, Admiral's in the much better position because of the wood, which he has control of across the middle, and because of the positions with the buildings and the hills.
Yeah, the only problem for him is these Mayan skirms, right? It's the only issue. He can't break this wall.
This is so stupid, man.
It really is. It really is.
This is... I mean, you know me. As a Force Nothing fanatic, I love stupid things, all right? So maybe our opinions differ a little bit on this, Dave. But the uniqueness of this game, I'm going to remember for a long time.
Well, I think this is the first time that we've really seen this technology on display.
Yeah.
Like on a big stage, right? So we're seeing how strong it can be. I mean, Admiral's been in the driver's seat this entire game. And the only thing standing in his way between him and victory are these stupid skirmishers, and they will not go down.
Yeah, it has to get to a point where one person can't make skirms anymore. And let's actually check. Obviously, we're leaving a fight, but as we cross 1,000 kills for both players, I think you guys are gonna realize that thing. Oh, actually, this is not the time to look away to the stats, because the pikeman numbers, while they contribute in some way, Dave, actually lessen the skirm numbers, so Senjata needs to worry about that. I want to see, I'll just look at it now, screw it. I want to see the total eco stats here. Yeah, look at Admiral. Admiral's had more wood and more food long term. Now, granted, might have lost a little bit more when it comes to those resources, so that's hard, but...
Mayan longer lasting resources, though, really come into play here.
What a combination. You can't kill each other off. Viking players had more eco, and then the Mayan resources last longer. What a combination to make for a ridiculous post-imp game.
It must feel like for Admiral, you can never fight in even numbers. You always have to have like an extra 20% because of these stupid skirmishers. Yeah. And I can't believe that Senjata has kept this plume mass alive.
Yeah.
This plume mass has been running around that left side. They were in the middle previously. Like they've been alive for so long, so credit to him for keeping them going.
Important moment here, because Admiral is raiding with skirmishers on the left side, and he has a lot of them. So one would assume he'd have the potential to kill some villagers. But if he has all that pop there, that means he might not have the pop on his hills. So we have to pay attention to that. He actually has skirms behind this wood line and a light cav here, so great control.
You know, and when you only have 20, 30 skirms in a group like this, a couple eagles can really, really do some work.
But, well, I think Admiral is kind of in a rough position civ-wise against an amazing player. I feel like Admiral should have done more to push the lead earlier. Would you agree, Dave?
Yeah.
Yep,
definitely.
It's been a while now, but I think Sinjata is showing how big of an annoyance he can be if games go late. And he's actually going to send his ball of plumes over to the right side. So he could kill villagers from Admiral in a second. And Admiral's...
I think Sinjata is going to win this game, man.
All right. Interesting. I mean, it's the wood on the left that's the most important to him right now. He is... We're actually there, Dave. Both players are... Oh, my goodness. If you look at the wood lines, it's mainly to the middle and the left right now.
Yep.
So this hill that Admiral has doesn't protect anything.
No, there's a couple little nuggets on the right side, but that's only 2 tiny little wood lines. He exhausted the one in the middle completely, and now he's going forward to that one on the left, and guess who's sitting there with skirmishers?
Yep.
Sinjata.
Sinjata's waiting, dude. I think he realized this. Okay. Thank you from the Twitch user there. Great insight and great fan zone comments we have here, Dave. Here comes more villagers. So he's definitely realized himself now, but maybe Sinjata getting excited about taking the hill is out of position. I really feel like these skirmishers being on the hill are useless now. All about the left hill.
It's gotten to a point where so much blood has been spilt over this one hill that blue feels like it's a victory to sit on top of it now. But it's really not. Like you got to start focusing on the wood lines, right?
Yeah. But it's funny how Admiral just switches to another hill. He chopped all the wood there so we could take the next hill. It's smart. I mean, a ram here would be really cool. Because, and here it comes. It would take out the archer ranges. And there comes some eagles, Dave, which will help. And on the left side, I mean, it's a mix of everything. It does still feel like Admiral has more in the way of skirmishers. It's just these Mayan skirmishers are so much stronger. Champions, though, Dave.
Champions there. They're going to come in. They're going to get shredded by the skirms like everything else. And then the pikemen are going to be a nice little meat shield there. This is so... this game is swinging in Sinjata's favor. I mean, once that wood line is gone for Admiral, where does he shift to? He's got the one on the left, I guess, but Blue's army is so close.
Yeah. The other thing is if you lose production buildings, you have to spend wood to make more of them, which is not ideal here. But I don't think he's going to lose too many as the champions come in. Yeah, you can see Sinjata switch his focus to the left. This is where it's all going to go down here. I think focus elsewhere is pretty much useless at this point. Most people have castles to protect their farms, so whatever. And Admiral's about to run out of wood to chop, Dave. It's what it seems like. I'm just doing a quick zoom out to see. He's got some vills dying on the right side.
He's getting pikemen now. Why would Admiral? Why would you ever go pikeman against this?
I think that's a really bad move actually because it costs wood. You go light cav, it at least just costs food. But I don't think mixing in your own pikeman makes a lot of sense.
I think it's desperation now because he's looking at the wood situation.
Yeah.
He's looking how much he has in the bank, which is like less than 100 right now. Granted, his production queue is pretty full, and he's going, "Oh God, what else can I do?"
Yeah, look at this. All the archer ranges are sending skirms over here from both players. But Dave, it's more military for Admiral. Look at all the villagers here for Sinjata. If he loses 20-some villagers and loses access to wood for even a few moments, what could happen here?
Well, he's got 1,600 in the bank.
True.
So if he loses villagers, you know what that means?
More skirmishers.
Dude, the Mayan privilege has brought him back into this game.
Oh man, now he doesn't have too many archer ranges close by to this, Dave, which I'd say is the concern. But let's see, villagers are dying. Admiral's like, yeah, we're taking control of the wood, we're killing villagers. Oh man, dude. And again, Admiral's on a hill. It's 92 military versus 59, so if Sinjata keeps tossing away low skirm numbers, gonna end up looking back and regretting that.
I think Sinjata just send all those villagers to that wood line. YOLO it, try and chop as much wood as you can, and then conserve your army for the time being. Take good trades because Admiral's gonna be out of wood soon.
I'm still so unsure. I mean, there's 75 skirmishers queued for Admiral. There's 30 queued for Senjata. I think Admiral's going to do this, Dave. It's so close. He also did such a good job to get some champions and some light cap in the mix.
Senjata has a full wood line in the middle of the map, so.
Oh, you. Oh, okay. Well, we just gotta wait a couple minutes then.
They're gonna be fighting over this area again in the middle.
Yeah. All right.
Shift back there.
I mean, he's fought on before. He's gonna continue to fight here, and that's a couple thousand wood right there.
Do you remember like 40 minutes ago when I said, "Is this a wood game?"
I will never doubt you again, Dave. I will never doubt you again.
I had the tingle in the back of my head.
Oh, man. And, you know, those Eagles, which you have seen pretty rarely in post-imp because of the lack of gold, they did help out there. There's been many times where Senjata's been able to push up hills, Dave. Still seeing a lot of villagers on the left side for Admiral, but you're thinking maybe he chops through this nugget and then he just runs out.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be whatever is left in his queue once these villagers are done here. And I think Blue needs to start sending more vills over to those tiny little wood lines on the far left of the map.
Yeah. That wood line in the middle. I suppose that's something that Admiral could be focusing on. I don't know if we can really fault him for anything at this stage, but maybe leaving a few units there. But I can see why he'd want a big ball, because if he's fighting in a 1v1 battle, the skirms from Mayans are just stupidly strong. And Senjata, lower pop, with military and everything, still taking what looks to be good fights. It just comes down to if he'll have resources left. And yeah, here come the villagers. Oh, he repaired the lumber camp slightly.
I think he was trying to drop off there.
Yeah.
Suddenly repaired.
Okay, here's a question. So there's going to be a point where villagers are useless, right? And that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
If you
they can still farm, and that's the advantage that Vikings will have here, is that Vikings can go for light cav.
Yeah, okay. But like the more farms you have, I mean, you need to find balance of the wood you're spending on farms too, because you need wood for skirms. But my question to you is, do you fight with villagers when you're completely out of wood? Or do you just leave them in the back of your base for a score situation? Because not that the score lead gives you a win, but I'm just saying, like, maybe moral support. just to have the higher score because of the population.
You're not thinking about score, man. You know what it's like in these late game battles. You know what it's like.
Dave,
you're not thinking about score.
All I'm seeing is the population right now. Senjata has 120 pop. Is Admiral going to do this?
And he's got a ton of champions queued, too. A ton of champions for Admiral. Eagles coming in for Senjata, but he couldn't keep up with the production. He's at 120 total population and only 5 villagers in the production queue.
And look at the way Admiral's doing this. Admiral says, forget about the Eagles. I can deal with those. I just need to take out those freaking plumes and those freaking skirms.
It's over. What happened here? What happened to the production? It's like Senjata just took his foot off the pedal.
I think the amount of archery ranges, and I think just the overall queue that Admiral's been able to keep up is what did it. Because he's had around 70 skirms in queue for the last hour, it feels like. Yep. Whereas for Senjata, it was 20 or 30. And if you look at the total wood collected in a bit, which I think we will when the game ends, I think you will see that Admiral, all that middle control throughout the last hour, Dave, ended up paying off for him somehow, some way.
That seems crazy. There was Senjata. There was a moment where Senjata had like 1,800 wood in the bank.
Yeah.
He had secure control over that wood line in the middle. And I guess he just didn't keep up production. Yeah. Like you said, not enough archer ranges, not enough production buildings behind it.
Well, he calls the GG and he gives the well played. That is just game number 1 of the semifinals, Dave. What a crazy way to start it off.
Yeah, I mean, an hour and 47 minutes game time. That's crazy play from both of these players. And I've seen a lot of Age of Empires, Tristan. I haven't seen an Arabia game quite like that.
Someone in chat just says, that was so stupid, yet so amazing. I agree with that statement. There's 30 trees left on the map, and that's not even complete trees. Like, a lot of these trees, this one has 2 wood. This one here's got 58 wood. I mean, I could continue and count it if you really want. Maybe someone else can do that job to tell us how much was exactly left on that map. There was 6 wood left on that tree, Dave. That was down to almost the last tree. But we mentioned the control for Admiral, and you can see it right there on your screens. He didn't have that much more wood, to be honest, but he did still have more, and that might have done it. He also had more food, which also is an important resource for skirmishers. Also had a bit more in gold. That's probably just that relic. How do you feel both players? What do you feel as a player knowing you have to play potentially 6 more games after that?
Tired?
Yeah.
I mean, it always happens with those long games, right? It's like whoever wins it, you feel a huge surge of momentum and boost, like confidence boost, because you put so much effort into it. And if you put so much effort into a game like that and come away with no result whatsoever, that's not a good way to go into game number 2.
Those are the games that can make or break you. I know if it's a rated game, I would say that no one wins. If it was just for points on the ladder, I'd say no one wins those games. But that matters a whole lot to Admiral, especially because you could say he was at a disadvantage with the technology they were fighting with, Dave. He was fighting with the worst skirmishers.
He did have the light cav option, but he didn't really use it either. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the champions, you could argue, helped a lot there, because if you look at the gold cost of a champion after supplies, or I guess supplies doesn't affect the gold cost. But anyways, if you look at the cost of a champion in general versus the cost of Eagles, and the Eagles were pretty short-lived for Senjata and very pricey. He did a good job for a while with his plumed archers. But yeah, we have to forget about that game and look towards game number 2. Game number 2 will be on one of Senjata's home maps. Now, I know people like our speculation, Dave. At least I hope they do. But I would say it's probably time for us to just hop in. Yeah.
We just spent 2 hours in a game. Let's move on to game number 2.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. And we'll get this party started here for game number 2. What? This map looks... There's actually wood on this map, Dave. What is this? All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to game number 2. Again, sun-shin. The entire tournament has been picking teal, and Senjata has been picking blue, and the colors just do not work too well. So we're going to switch Admiral back over to red. And what do you think about this Berber's pick for Admiral on cross?
It's super interesting. Maybe calling out the Hun selection from Senjata. I mean, Berbers, if you get into Castle Age, the cheaper stables, maybe you can outmass the Huns a little bit. Also, Berbers on cross, I quite like them, especially if you're going for the sneaky docks, because your villagers walk faster, right? So you'll get there quicker than your opponent. That'll really help out.
Yeah, it's a Civ, and I don't want to start the guessing games too heavily, but it's a Civ that ACCM loves on this map. He loves to use that Vil speed, and if you're up against Huns, like you said, having the cheap knights and cheap camels can be sick against a Civ that tends to struggle against that, plus camel archers. But what's the focus of this map, Dave? It's a little different now this year, but what do you think the players should be thinking about?
Well, obviously you want to secure that first pond, and then depending on your strategy, that's going to dictate when you go out for the second one, right? Usually we see them go out for the second one right as they're about to hit feudal age.
Yeah.
So they can apply some water pressure and then maybe go to the third, depending on if you know your opponent's already there.
Yep. Capture age is a little frozen for me right now, Dave, but I have faith that we're going to get into the game. I mean, it's working behind the scenes here. Capture age. Capture age. Oh, this is what the actual game looks like. Capture age. All right, 1 second. I gotta restart this here. I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Also, it is a best of 7, as it says on the screen, but the for whatever reason, I can't seem to get more than 5 boxes there at the top. So we'll work on that too. Should be easy enough to fix. And Capture Age is going to restart for us here. And everything should be looking good. We're still in the game, and just got to change the colors again, Dave. But yeah, do you still think Huns, despite everything we said about Berbers being really strong, do you think that Huns are probably the better civilization of the two?
There's a reason that people pick them on cross, right?
Yeah.
I think Huns definitely have the superior advantage in not having to make houses. But when we're talking about military compositions, Berbers are a pretty good answer to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the flexibility of Huns just feels good to play too. There's definitely that aspect of this game. So much of it you can't just put on paper. It's just how things tend to feel and play out for you as the player. Let's see, Admiral. I mean, Admiral feeling great after the first game. Going to weaken the board with the TC.
Senjata, that's not a good thing to happen at the start of the game. That is the most infuriating thing on Cross when you get your first villager killed at the dock.
Wow. And that's just epic timing with the scout too. And I feel like Admiral has gotten a few lames in this tournament, has gotten his scout to a few spots that just seems to be, it's almost like he doesn't have fog of war. It's almost like he knows where the enemy is going to be at certain times. And that is just down to his game sense, Dave. This is a player who really knows what he's talking about. Look at this. Has palisaded and was prepared for any scout. So that is a Vil down for Senjata, but also delayed with fishing ships. So it puts him really far behind.
Yeah, it was a good response for him to send a villager right away. A lot of players will like wait and then delay that villager, but he had the second one coming from the TC as he loses his scout, Tristan.
No way, dude. No way. Like, these things shouldn't happen, Dave. I shouldn't have to look there. How does that happen there? All right, guys. So here's the deal. Hart just said, Hart pro player who almost qualified for this event, says that he thinks, based on the draft and based on everything we've seen here, that he actually believes that the Admiral is Jordan. Once a top 5 player, Dave had to qualify here. And I would definitely have not said before the tournament that Jordan would make a semifinal. And if it is Mr. Yo, if it is a big name like Dogal maybe too, and Senjata, this is amazing performance.
Yep, and look at what Admiral's doing too. He knows the scout is dead from Senjata, so that gives him free reign to walk across the map. Berber villager very fast. He's quickly walking here to the pond of Senjata, and he's going to place a dock down pretty early. So he's going to have fire ships out on that pond as soon as he hits feudal age.
Will the deer move? Because you're kidding me.
He's never noticing that.
And
never.
that, I mean, obviously it's horrible because the scout's down, right? But that is only possible with Berbers, you could argue. Because if you look at where Senjata's Vil is, if it was any other villager, it would still be around here, just crossing the deer villagers. So amazing preparation with the draft and civilizations, and great start for the Admiral.
This is going to be really tough if you're in Senjata's shoes. I mean, Senjata going barracks, and he's going stable here? What's the plan?
Yeah, normally you see a scout opening with Huns.
But
it makes a lot of sense.
He did just scout. He scouted the dock. He sent a fishing ship over there.
Yeah, good call there, Dave. So he knows about that. It's 2 docks for Admiral, though. So it always sucks to have to invest into a second dock to save what should be a safe pond. And look at the walls for the Admiral. Admiral is just going to wall up before any scouts arrive. So it's a water approach versus land and water approach. And there could be benefit for Senjata in a second when the scouts arrive. But for now, Admiral locking down his base, and I really like how this game is playing out.
Yeah, assuming the scouts can get in, right? It looks like he's going to be fully walled by the time the scouts go over there. Senjata did go and secure that pond on the left side.
Yep.
But with the fire ship already out and with 2 docks from the Berber player, it feels like he's going to lose this one in the south for free. And he's not even making any ships down here. He's just giving this up.
Are you in my shoes and a little shocked that Senjata, based on what we saw yesterday, is getting smashed like this?
Well, he's going for the pond on the right now, and he still hasn't gone to gold, which tells me that he's probably just thinking, all right, I'll let him kill my fish at the bottom. He can invest into military there. I'm going to kill his forward villager, which is an excellent pick from Senjata. And I'm going to hope that he doesn't move out to these ponds anytime soon. We're just making fishing ships for the time being.
You know, that's an interesting approach, right? Like, if you add fishing ships at the rate you lose them, it's not too bad. And not having to build houses with Huns does help with that situation.
Ooh, he might find this villager from Admiral on the left, too. There's a villager going to the pond on the right and a villager going to the pond on the left. He might see the one on the left. He's building an outpost there. Admiral saw him.
Oh, and the quick wall's there from Admiral. Admiral, perfect. And I think a dock can be placed behind that. Sometimes
Block
it's
the dock
really
with
weird.
the fishing ship. Block the dock with the fishing ship. Pull a Nikov.
True. Yeah, Nikov did that in the qualifier. It's a great call out. And on the other side, Dave, it's a similar thing. And that dock foundation is down and will go up there for the Admiral.
And the villager, though, he cut through the tree, and now she is trapped. She
What?
has nowhere to go.
It was a nice attempt there from Admiral to save her, I guess. But it looks as though Admiral will not save her with the quick wall. And so I guess after it's all said and done, Sunjata will have a pond where he can freely fish, and that will be on the left-hand side.
So 2 villagers down for Admiral. He did clear out the pond on the bottom.
Yeah.
But 2 villagers down for him, and it looks like he's going to have problems on the pond on the right as well. Fireship finally coming out here from the Huns player.
You know, there's also an issue with his berries, and we talk about transitions a lot. If there's ever an archer switch, spearman defense in the berries is not going to be so good. So I'm not sure if Admiral's eco is going to look great. He will have 2 ponds for now. I think the villager on the right, Dave.
Is he not going to repair? Okay, he's repairing now.
Yeah, it feels like the village should die here, but you never know with fire ships and palisade walls, right? All right. Well, Sunjata's certainly coming back in this one. And you always love to have some scouts in the field in this map, just so you can have vision what the enemy's up to. Food count looking similar. And will we see a range? It feels natural soon for Sunjata to add an archer range in the front. And looking at Sunjata's scouting, he might not actually know the berries are there, Dave. Okay, I lied. He knows the berries are there. Just probably expects some spearmen as we see a stable from the Admiral, and he must be thinking about Castle Age soon.
Yeah, and Sunjata's got to be thinking, how do I secure my base? Because if Admiral's going for stable,
Yeah.
playing Huns super open like this is going to be really bad. He can just run around your economy sniping villagers.
Interesting tower. You know, I think normally I would hate this because then he can't make a tower at home. But when you're up against
I hate that
Berbers...
it's 1 tile away and it can be ranged by the fire ship.
Oh, okay.
what
That's
I
fair.
hate.
But I think Berbers will never go archer switch against you. So if you're expecting knights, the tower's not going to help you anyways. If you're going to contest the pawns, it's not the worst thing in the world. And interesting micro here, and great micro from Sunjata, but they both lose 1. I think in the end, with the tower, Admiral will lose another and lose the villager after this.
Yeah, I think even if, with that tower there, even if somehow Admiral wins that water, he's not making a fishing economy.
Yeah.
As long as that tower is there, right? So it's kind of does 2 things at once, and it's going to clear up this villager.
There you go. And Sunjata's going to click up, Dave. Has the resources now, and will just be 30 seconds behind. Economically, it's 45 to 42 in anyone's game. No archer range for Sunjata, so we won't see a switch. Maybe we'll see the ranges late, though. Maybe he's still thinking about cav archers. But, man, there's 2 stables on the front. They can run right over. I think Sunjata's going to have some big problems against knights.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to find a way to lock this down.
Ooh. There's a potential here for Admiral to lose villagers, and look at those quick walls.
Good stuff from him. No other holes in the walls, it doesn't look like. But like you said, scouts are nice here, just for getting an idea of what your opponent's up to.
Yeah. 2 spearmen enough for the scouts now. The fishing eco, in theory, should be pretty similar here in a bit. But I guess Admiral, to take that back, Admiral's actually contesting that right pond. So he's freely fishing in 2, whereas Sunjata is only freely fishing in 1. And Admiral might even be tempted to sneak a villager back over to the left.
Wow, there's 2 outposts there, right?
Yeah. Could be
So it's gonna
spotted.
be tough.
Could be denied, might not be, depending. Yeah, there's a lot of things to focus on here. I just like the balance from Admiral. He's got the food eco. He's going to go 2 stable knights, which is very aggressive. He's now going to get the water upgrades to try and contest the ponds. This is exactly the spot you'd want to be in.
So walls coming down for Sunjata.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit late here.
Probably needed, Dave. And there is a gap on the left, but I just noticed a play from Admiral. Use the spearmen to attract the aggro and the attention of the fire galley. And then sent 2 villagers to the left. So he wants to clear out that pond. And the pond on the other side he's going to hop out of pretty soon. Oh, and there's a demo in there. And the demo will pop out here in a second as if it's even needed. Boom. Oh, he's saving it. Is that intent? Great. All right, perfect. Well, he's got 3 fires against 0. And then the other
And
side,
there-
he's also going to add fires.
Yeah, and here come the Knights. Sinjata just a little bit late. You have to foresee this happening, though, against Berbers.
Yeah.
You know there's going to be Knights, right? So the response from him to only wall up after he saw the double stable, maybe should have been quicker.
It's just tough because even if you wall that far with Palisades, you can't house wall behind. You know, the Knights are probably still going to break in. It just comes down to being in Castle Age faster with a Fishbone on this map with cheap Knights. It's just disgustingly strong. And here come the Knights. And I think if you're Admiral, committing to a few villagers here is not the worst thing in the world.
No, it definitely isn't. Especially driving your opponent off gold. He needs gold to produce those Cav Archers, so the longer you can hang around here, the better.
Yep, and then you should have some mobility. You can also split up when you're going for melee units, whereas these ranged units need to mass up. I'm curious now to see the approach from Admiral. Admiral's actually gone to stone at home, Dave, so he's thinking about early camel archers. Instead of going for town centers and eco, he just figures, who needs eco when I counter hunts in every single way with this civilization?
Yeah, and the Knights are in on that gold.
Oh, man, what a play there. And Sinjata just struggling to keep up with things, Dave. And I don't think this game is going to go quite as long as the previous one based on how this is going. Admiral has a 20 population lead. This is huge.
No, Sinjata, you can see the gold issues here. He's really struggling to produce Cav Archers. Got 60 in the bank, sending all the villagers out to that gold now, making a market even so he can sell his food.
And it seems as though Admiral is going to notice this and be happy with all this. We do see a second TC at home for the Admiral. That'll go up in a bit. And again, the fishing eco is normally what will give you big leads, and it has done so for Admiral after the Vil pick, after the sneak, multiple sneaks, Dave, and the Knights after the villagers, the camels holding back. This is amazing from Admiral.
Yep, and just keep villagers off that gold, basically. Just keep pushing the Cav Archers back, keep those villagers running back to the TC, as Blue decides not even to try for that, and he's going to go for the gold on the right-hand side now.
Yeah. No, I think the standards are just so high for us as fans. We are so used to such extreme level, and I think it's important to remember that Sinjata has fallen behind early and played very well to come back in this. It's just that Admiral is so good that he's been able to keep that lead, and that's really, in theory, how Age of Empires should work. You gain a small lead, you should snowball that into another small lead. It's just hard to execute. It's just incredible.
Fishing ships on the left have gone down now. Admiral making a fire ship over there, clearing up the navy, and that was over there from Sinjata. And now Sinjata, the food eco is only the farms.
Yeah. Which is, it's a good transition here, as the fish will eventually run out. But Admiral, with chain barding armor and bloodlines now, happy to take engagements near the town center even against these Cav Archers. And never mind, backs away, Dave. I see the focus from the Knight on the right, realizing, okay, he's off gold. Let's check this one. If you could call that a mistake, maybe that was a little slow. But Sinjata even realizing that and doesn't want to let them in. Adds a quick gate. Well done. Camel numbers will start to go down if the Cav Archer numbers rise, though, Dave. But I don't like the sitting between here. I think that gives the camels an opportunity. Okay, I can't take it back. Never mind. Pretend I didn't say that.
So do you like the way
Okay.
he put the Cav Archers?
I do, but like sometimes, depending on the HP and the numbers of the camels, if you're not running away, the camels just melt your Cav Archers. So based on what I've seen in the past, as this Knight shows back up to the gold and the villagers finish it off, I wasn't expecting that to go quite so well for Sinjata, which is why I believe Admiral took the fight.
So you remember the last time Admiral was in a dominating position on Cross? He had control of all the pawns, and his opponent was just going Cav Archers.
Yep.
What happened?
He was too greedy. He had the fish boom, he didn't boom enough on land, and then he didn't make enough military. And I think that he's corrected those problems here, Dave. He's got a castle going up, he'll have 3 TCs, and he's been making a ton of military. So this is a perfect approach.
Yeah, and the Cav Archer production really isn't there consistently for Sinjata. I mean, he's gone for a 3rd TC now, so he's going to try and catch up on eco somehow, but it's going to be really tough for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing everything that he should do. It's just that he's about 5 minutes later to a lot of it, right? The eco upgrades are behind. The TCs were behind.
He does see the castle with that outpost, though.
Okay.
Okay, he's not even going to try and deny that with the cav archers. Doesn't know that there's only 4 villagers building it.
The thing is, now you start to lose hope if you're Senjata. Like, you have 7 on food, so you never can think about the Imperial Age. Camels and Camel Archers, I mean, they're both great against Cav Archers, but Camel Archers especially just destroy Huns.
It's gonna give Senjata time though. If you're making a tech switch like that, you're gonna stop the production of the camels, right? Senjata's gonna be consistently producing cav archers, and you're gonna need to go out to stone and get more castles down, get those reinforcements up, and it definitely opens a window here for Senjata to do some damage.
You know, the Siege Workshop on the right side is an interesting approach. Again, I think he recognizes he's probably a bit behind here. But if you start to ram down some vulnerable areas before the Camel Archers mass, this could be good. And here you see Admiral reacting, but getting caught out and losing a villager. And the Cav Archers also on the left side killed a villager, Dave. So 20 to 8 KD when it comes to eco. Still a 30 eco lead for Admiral as he's going to try and pounce on the Cav Archers. Oh my goodness, what an engagement there, Dave. Look at the Cav Archers go down.
Yep, 6 down there. Basically running right through the camels of Admiral. Is important to note, though, with the eco side, that all the fish in the bottom basically expired. All the fish at the top basically expired. And the fish on the left side almost there as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as the Cav Archers have actually gone over here. And Admiral, something we don't see too frequently on this version, has actually made a transport ship to send a monk to the corner to get the relic. There's a relic in every pond. It's just a lot of work to get there. So that's pretty cool.
I've only ever seen that with the Lithuanians.
Yeah. I did see Vinchester do it in the qualifier, so Vinchester confirmed as Admiral. Rams.
Okay, Cav Archers gonna get out of there. They do not want to deal with those Camel Archers.
People saying that Admiral, it's got to be the Viper. It just makes me think, and who else is out there? You know? There's so many good names in this tournament, Dave, and that castle, would it be denied?
For a time, it could be. I mean, there's a TC right next to it.
Okay, yep.
So potentially he could just pop out of the TC. He's got to stop the villagers from building if he wants to take this fight, though, because once the castle goes up, you cannot take that. And he just decides to back away. The Rams were kind of useless there at the end of the day.
And I think that was the moment for Senjata. To invest into Rams tells me that he knew that he needed a kill. Now you have 2 castles that will produce Camel Archers, a unit which wrecks Cav Archer, and then there's Camels in there too, and then there's a 35 eco lead for Admiral, with relic control apparently. 1-to-1 there, and the Cav Archers, lack of a patrol here hurts so bad. Yeah, he doesn't patrol in, Dave. He does have more numbers though, so it's a reasonable fight against Camel Archers. Not the prettiest engagement for Admiral. It's one of those where he's ahead, so he can take it. But it's not the best fight I've seen from him. I think he easily could have justified just running back for a time.
I think he'll be happy with that, though. He killed quite a bit. And what you're really scared of here, you know your opponent's behind in eco. You're scared of that military mass, right? Snowballing forward.
True, yep.
So taking out that many Cav Archers, I think you'll take that trade.
All right. Well, you've got the camels out if you need them, and Admiral will need them soon. He takes out the Mackinac with them, and now sees elite skirms coming in. And Cav Archer elite skirm is probably the play if you're Senjata, but since the camels have upgrades, the skirms don't do anything.
Now, Admiral is coming forward with some villagers, making a forward market, maybe planning on dropping another castle somewhere around here.
Maybe we'll buy the stone, realize that the villagers were arriving but didn't have the stone for it, Dave?
Yep.
Okay. Military counts 30 to 18. Keep in mind there is a lot on water for Admiral. It's pretty close here, actually, and I think both players will try and drop a castle. And we do see a castle from Senjata. Is this a spot where both castles go up? This is so weird.
I think Admiral's gonna have to bail on that.
Yeah.
More villagers there for Senjata. Maybe delete that foundation and put it on this hill.
Okay.
in front of the archer ranges, then you're denying the production buildings too if you place a castle over here.
Yeah, that ends up working out. I mean, the castle's good for Senjata. It protects some of those resources. But it doesn't mean the position in this game is very good. Also, I think a fish trap is bugging out because look at the... It's either that or a farmer.
I've been looking for that for like 2 minutes. I've been examining all the farms from Admiral.
Yeah. All right, well, my guess it would be a fish trap that's making Capture Age do that. One of them's not cooperating. Maybe Senjata paid it off, you know? Like, don't work for the enemy. Do you think you just go Imp here for your Admiral? He could go for the kill with a lot of knights. I think Imperial makes perfect sense for the forward castle.
Yeah, and I think he's trying to work his way towards that. He could just cancel a few in the production queue, right?
Yeah.
You have the forward castle, get into a Treb war with Senjata, take that position down, and you push him completely off of gold.
And Senjata, even before that, realizes the situation. Realizes that that's probably coming. The score is 2-0 here, folks. The Admiral is... He's not destroying Senjata because game one was so close, but certainly in this game, he heavily outplayed him.
Yeah, it looks on another level right now, which is surprising because coming into this set, I would have said Senjata was my favorite based on what we've seen in the past few from him.
I would have said 4-2 for Senjata. I don't think I gave my exact prediction when I asked you, so I am also surprised, but pleasantly surprised with the quality the Admiral has brought today. And you can see there the eco lead. But it all started off with some mistakes from Senjata. Give credit to Admiral, but Senjata lost the villager at the start. Then you also had the scout diving into the TC. Those moments matter so much. It led to the sneak villagers from Admiral. It led to all that control. And so 2 games in a row, Admiral has bested Senjata, and Senjata does have 2 home maps to play on yet, Dave.
One thing I will say about Senjata, he's hard to kill off. Like we've seen it in 2 games here. You mentioned the start for him was so bad, right? You lose the villager early, you lose the scout, you have like no vision, you lose all the pawns, and you're somehow still in the game. And then that first game, all the pressure from the Vikings on the Mayans, and somehow still in the game.
Yeah.
It's really impressive from him, his ability to stay in games.
Yeah, I mean, the first game could have easily gone to Senjata, and then we'd be looking at a 1-1. So I don't think the 2-0 scoreline tells me that Admiral's going to win this clearly. I could see Senjata taking this back. We'll see. But if you're ready, Dave, we'll just hop into game number 3 and find out what map it's on and what strategies the players will have. A 1-second message for you on Discord. All right, let's go. Game number 3. It is going to be on high tides. Also, it was my bad with the scoreboard. It's not Capture Age's bad. Shout out to Capture Age. Salutes to Capture Age. By the way, guys, please check them out. Consider Capture Age Pro to support them. They are no longer funded with their production. They've done this all on their own time, all of their own effort, and it's been amazing for the show here. So I of course, will do the same myself, and I'm very excited to work with them going forward. But please, as a community, support those guys. You can check the link below and see everything about their project. Senjata has gone for Persians, Dave, and we have Japanese for Admiral. And again, kind of a common Civ matchup here on High Tides. Just wondering, will we see anything in particular that's different from previous sets? Typically, you're going to see a dock in the north, and then you could see maybe like a barracks follow-up, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily established meta, Dave. What do you think?
What was the result yesterday, the Persians versus Japanese match? Was it the Japanese who came out on top, or was it the Persians?
I honestly
can't
forget.
remember.
I think, no, the Persian player won. The Persian player won. They had great eco and then ended up going knights against Japanese archers. I do recall that
That's
now.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think if you were to ask high-level players, they would probably prefer to have Japanese just because the tanky fishing ships and the early bonuses, but I can't really say that this is anything more than a 50-50 and heavily depends on how it's played, by the players.
And this was a set map, right? This is not his home map?
No, this is a home map for Admiral.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
sorry, for Senjata. The set map will be for game 4. So no matter what, the next game will be on bypass.
Okay. So he thinks Persians are better than Japanese. This is what this is telling me.
Yeah,
If he's
probably.
gone for his home map, he's picked this Civ. He's under the impression that they are the superior Civ, and he's going out with a villager right now. Teal also escorting his villager with the scout. And I suspect, yep, there is the scout from Senjata.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the shorefish can be really awkward on this map. And I didn't actually expect players to be so competitive for it. But do you see where these trees are for Senjata? On my end, it is we have changed teal to red on my end, viewers. But if you want to dock next to that shorefish, there's reeds there. And this seems to be a familiar sight, Dave. We've seen this all before.
Very familiar. And I wonder if one of these players is going to invest in Loom. And there's Loom for Senjata, so this may surprise Admiral.
Okay. Now, if you invest into Loom, and the enemy doesn't, and they just wall in their villager, then
Why is Admiral leaving with his scout? That's my question. Like, Senjata, if he knew this, he could just go attack that wall, delay the dock, and then bring the villager over.
You know what else is weird is he didn't wall in his villager on the shorefish yet. Oh, now he did. Okay, and now Senjata's like, you stay there. You stay there, please. I mean, I guess that does something, Dave, but I feel like it's better to have that villager collecting food right now. And that could lead to a slightly faster relay time for the Admiral.
That villager's not making another dock anytime soon. He
That's
can't get out of
true.
there.
That's a good point. So another vill will have to come later on, yeah.
I'll
All right.
gladly take that over the, 15, 20 food I'm missing.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Researching Loom early does mean you fall behind a villager too, viewers, because, especially getting housed too, as Senjata has to scramble down a house, as that was forgotten. And this is sloppy, Dave. This is really sloppy for Senjata, and down 2 games, it hurts.
I don't think he can, guys, I don't think he can place a dock there if he deletes the walls, because there's a shorefish there.
Yeah,
I
do
do not
either.
think that Red can place another dock.
Well, if the shorefish is gone by the time he's in feudal, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Wow. So Bonnie, thank you so much for that. I'm pumped to see Senjata come back a little bit here, Dave, because it doesn't feel like there's a massive gap between the players, but Admiral's just had these small little moments to get leads.
I think Senjata should be sending his fishing ships over to the right too. Steal the fish. Take it away.
Okay, that works. And the feud lage time's actually very competitive here. 3 fishing ships for both in the north. And I think we will see a second dock. Now, I am curious what you said. If Admiral feels like he can dock there somehow, Dave, and they can't, that could really suck for him.
Okay, where are these 3 villagers going from Admiral? Going to build a barracks. Senjata, is he going to see this?
He doesn't, Dave. But he also might be a little hesitant with his scout. Because you never know who's going to be in feudal age first, and his scout is weaker. So I think he'll actually want to keep his scout away from the middle and maybe just protect his villager, as we see a second dock now for him.
Second dock. The shorefish are nowhere near being fully taken there.
Okay.
We'll see if he can place a foundation on that little edge of the shoreline, but I'm not sure if he can.
Seeing that barracks is so important, though. Okay, Senjata should notice that now and should know that militia are coming forward at the very least. He does not know about the villagers, but look at the reaction now from Senjata. He's going to start to add some walls.
He's going to wall right in the path of those villagers, and he's going to wall that other little choke point, too. The woodline's really helping him out here.
Okay, will he see the tower foundation, Dave? He does not see it. It's actually been deleted. He doesn't see any of that. And wait a second. So Admiral's thinking twice about towering the woodline. I really like the idea of towering the woodline, personally. But
1 fire galley on the way from Senjata. Actually, 2 and nothing there for the Japanese player.
okay. Keep an eye on that. Now, remember, Japanese fishing ships do last a lot longer. And if you deny a woodline from Persian player, they're probably going to have some food floating. They can make another lumber camp. But the golds, on the other hand, Dave, I mean, this is a really good tower position from Admiral, and it will take Senjata off of gold, which means he cannot be super competitive with fire galleys.
Yeah, if only Senjata had his scout over there, right? If only he could have seen that tower foundation. He could have easily pulled enough villagers to deny that, but there's the tower right there. Sanjata's got to look for some other gold options. And he goes for a tower on the... That's confusing to me, that tower position.
That is very confusing to me. This whole set's confusing to me. The player identities are confusing to me. Like,
well, that's the point of the tournament, right? So
well, no duh, Dave. I'm just thinking, like, I don't know if I've... Like, Admiral is just continuing to surprise me. And in the back of my mind, I'm just going through the list of players when many people feel like we might have something like Hera Viper in the next semi. Who is this Admiral, and what on earth is he doing to Sanjata right now? Also, not really a map, Dave, where you should be counting on being able to comfortably wall. So the man-at-arm play is so strong.
I really do like the way Sanjata has reacted to this, though, based on his vision. Other than that tower, like, all the walls came down at a perfect moment.
Yeah.
The walls on the left are really, really good.
Oh,
like,
an overchop.
Oh,
You dumb
boy.
lumberjacks. They chopped through the trees, and I don't even think Admiral was expecting to get through there, Dave. And that's actually not bad for Sanjata. Even if the villager goes down, it could have been way worse here. But never mind.
He might lose another one. Yeah, he loses 2 of them. It's so dangerous fighting against men-at-arms, right? You're always taking that risk. He loses 3 villagers against that.
Yep.
He is losing on the water now, too. Admiral. He's taken advantage of the fact that Sanjata was distracted, wasn't producing fire ships, and that demo just did a little... That was wicked, dude.
It was a little
what did that demo...
Little 360 there.
Wait a second.
Yeah, Dave, it didn't even look like... The villagers started getting good hits in on those men-at-arms, but Japanese men-at-arms are a different breed. And now the tower goes up behind the wood line. And again, Admiral is looking to be so clean and precise with decisions.
Yep.
It is really, really crazy to see this. Even walling in the tower. So many players don't fully wall in the tower. Not Admiral. He'll do it. Crazy, man.
This is crazy. Like, the Admiral looks like he's stepped up his level of play so much, and now I'm with you, Tristan. Now I'm kind of rethinking who we've allocated all these names to, right?
Exactly. Fishing ships down. They were doomed, dude. They didn't stand a chance against 2 fires. And I'm thinking now, if you're Sanjata, I mean, with the way that Sanjata was able to work through the competition in the first 2 rounds, he's got to be shocked a little bit himself here. And he will know he's way behind. He's way behind with the transition to land eco. He's way behind on water. To be completely honest with all of you, this should be GG, and Admiral should clear it out from here. He is so far ahead.
He is going to clear up the fire ships, most likely. Sanjata is, and then he'll try and hit the fish from Admiral. He does have 2 docks versus 1, and he did kill that villager up there.
And Persian docks, right? So, you know, the docks, they last a long time over there. We see another tower, but this is something I believe Sanjata spotted. Yeah, he sees that with the outpost, so he'll just counter tower. But it's like, I guess that's just to get rid of it for later because he might need wood lines. It's not that important of a tower, which is why Admiral sent those other villagers home.
Okay, fishing ships finally getting cleared up. So now Sanjata is adding a few of his own.
Let me check.
Oh, there was a second dock there for Admiral. I didn't even notice that. Wow.
It must have, yeah, maybe it was recent, Dave. Obviously, our focus was elsewhere. I want to just check real quick what the food count looks like. This is all live, provided by Capture H Pro. 800 more food collected at this stage for Admiral. That's crazy, and that's not just the fishing ships, of course, because Blue had them for a while. It's just having the villagers in the proper spots, which you can so easily do when you are the one pressuring.
Now Sanjata, though, adding some fishing ships, going out to the zebra, going out to the ostrich. He's got a few on berries and a few farms behind this, so his food count is starting to climb again. Admiral definitely going to be clicking up to the castle age way earlier, though.
And Admiral, even saving this villager, it's just crazy to me. That villager could have so easily just been tossed back home, keeping track of every single vill here. But I'm with you. Maybe use the market here too, Dave. Like get a few more villagers on gold when you know you're behind, and buy some food to go up to Castle Age faster if you're Sanjata. 2 archers. That's quite a counter. Might be able to do something, but my guess is the main benefit, I guess, for Sanjata is just annoying Admiral and keeping Admiral at home with some of his military.
2 archers, no fletching. On the hill.
Let's go. Micro. They actually have food in their hands, too. So if they die, that'll hurt.
Yeah, correct decision from Admiral there. Don't go towards your TC. Go towards your army. He's going to have to run away.
Yeah, and then the archer's very weak. And one goes down. The other one is... I would deal with it, because that'll be a pain. Yeah, he's going to send an archer back to deal with this, Dave. This is just exactly as Admiral would have drawn it up. I'm sure Admiral has practiced a lot for this tournament. Look at this. Not a single palisade wall, except for around the towers on the front. Playing open. And might switch back on the water, Dave. Look at that. You have a good water engagement for Admiral.
Yep. He started reproducing fire galleys, and now he's going to take it back. And Sunjata's got to be wondering, like, oh, God, is this ever going to stop on water? Can I ever get fishing ships out?
Yep. But I'm thinking, too. You know, how many times have we seen someone win water on this game, and then that's it? You know, win water, eco to Castle Age, and then GG on high tides. But here... Admiral showing what else is possible and the amount of value you can get from man-at-arms and even a forward. And then switching back onto water, just every decision makes sense to me. There hasn't been a questionable decision at all, except for maybe the castle in game 1, which ended up being 50-50 in the end.
Archer's looping around for Admiral. He's going to run into a watchtower. That's a good watchtower from Sunjata. Foresaw that happening. Wants to keep his woodline secure, and now the crossbows, not many ways in, but that's pressure, right? You have the towers on the right, you have the crossbows on the left. Sunjata must feel like he kind of has to stay at home at the moment.
I think going 1 TC somewhat all in would make sense here, but with the defensive towers, it makes me think that he's actually going to go for a greedy boom or something.
Do you really want to be going... like crossbows as Persians, right? That's the question.
Yeah, that's true. Probably not. He probably felt the need to transition into archers when men-at-arms came in, and then here he is now. Sending archers to the middle. Admiral with the cheeky mining camp out there. And Sunjata's like, if nothing else as he lands a demo, I'm going to kill her. So there you go. That is if she dies anyways, because fletching isn't even in yet. Don't tell me that you're not going to kill this one. Come on here, Sunjata. You've got to kill this one, surely. All right,
she's making the rounds.
Yeah, we'll get the kill there, Dave, as crossbows have still kind of denied that wood line. And you see now what fishing, eco, or just proper transitions can do for you at home. Admiral with plenty of farms, 3 town centers. I expect the eco lead to climb for the Admiral from here.
Sunjata's got the war galley upgrade, so he's going to take back water again. But at this point, how much does it matter, right? You've been kicked off the fish for so long. He's going to add some extras.
I would say it might not matter a ton compared to earlier stages, but it's really his only way to come back because there's no way he can compete adding 3 TCs. So if he's able to use those docks to produce eco, that number might remain somewhat consistent. But I do have worries for him long-term here. As you see, more crossbowmen for Admiral.
Only 1 stable producing knights. He didn't really have the food eco to support them. So he couldn't really go more than 1 stable. He's going to clear up the crossbows on the left-hand side.
Yep.
But there's going to be more crossbows following to the south. Stone-walled, though. Pre-stone-walled on that south side.
It's like you said before, Sunjata doesn't die. So if Sunjata just doesn't fall behind, you would think that Sunjata would be able to best Admiral. We saw so many comebacks from Sunjata against Gonzalo Pizarro. What a series we have here. And I think this result, if this turns into a 3-0, which it very well might not, would be a much bigger shock than anything else I was expecting to see today, both semifinals and finals. Admiral is really, really looking clean, Dave. But he's got to be worried about these knights that are out here. They are Persian knights. There's not many upgrades on them yet, but eventually I think Persians are dangerous in this matchup.
And again, Sunjata, under pressure, his 3rd game in a row, instead of overproducing military, he's gone for a 3rd TC.
Yeah. I mean, Persians do have the ability to recover because their TCs work faster. Plus the docks, too. So you've got that aspect to worry about if you are Admiral. But I think Admiral has all but, forgotten about it, Dave. Wait a second. He just hopped into the tower with his crossbows? Why?
I guess it's doing more to that house.
I mean, maybe he's expecting something. That's funny to me. Is he going to get guard tower, maybe? I don't see it. Here comes some knights from Senjata. Are they healing in there? No, they're not.
If he thinks there's a mangonel coming, that's actually a pretty good play. And there's the mangonel.
Oh my god, that's amazing. He even brought the villagers to repair the tower, too. Is he repairing that tower through the palisade?
Ah, that's why. Dude,
wow.
His watchtower to the south had vision on that siege workshop.
That's sick, dude. As you would say, Dave, next lever. Next lever stuff to foresee that, toss the crossbows in, take down the Maginot, and also defend and get guard tower. Are we looking at Tato here? Who is this player?
That's crazy. I mean, the guard tower, he's already controlling that gold, right? And his guard tower is walled. He's controlling, like, kind of 2 wood lines with the other one. So why not? Why not get it? It's a pretty cheap upgrade.
I can't help but just be happy watching these games.
Very scalable with Japanese, too. Yeah, I am, too. This is a masterclass.
Like, Senjata even keeping this competitive economically, 68 to 70 is very impressive. But to see Age of Empires executed at this level is just a sight to behold. And I see a ram now for Senjata, so he's thinking ram. If that's spotted, maybe Admiral wants to mix in something else, Dave. I'm thinking wouldn't be a bad idea to even go all in Castle Age here if you're Admiral. You've got the stones and the golds denied. Why not go pikeman crossbow siege, you know? Just push him back further. Then again,
who would make guard towers like this? That's my question.
Yeah. I mean, it still feels like a very GL move. I don't think the nerds in Aftermath Tempo would do it. Maybe MBL would. MBL would. 100% go for guard tower. I don't think Leary or Hare would do it. Yeah, Nikov would probably think of doing it possibly. But I think Senjata, with a castle soon, could clear up the towers. And Admiral is kind of, I don't want to say under-making military, but only have 23 when you should have been making crossbows all castle age. That's a little light.
Yeah.
A little worried there.
You were talking about the Persians getting back into games. Look at the villager count. I know a lot of that is fishing ships. He's got like 6 or 7 fishing ships right now, but still fairly even for where we were a couple minutes ago.
There's a castle drop. Now, the knights, they don't have the good upgrades.
Yeah. Castle to take back that gold, and the guard tower isn't going to be able to do too much about that. Unfortunately for Senjata, he let his fire ship be converted in the middle, so he has to produce a couple more. Otherwise, his whole fishing eco would be killed.
Oh my god, and of course Admiral sent it over there too.
And Admiral's made another dock. So he's going to go back on water with a few fire ships.
This is what, the 3rd time now? That's really cool to see the switches here. And even getting the upgrades there, Dave. And making another tower. And even has the crossbows here. It feels a little too cheeky, though. Like, at some point, you're going to have to actually control things with military, too, Admiral.
Yeah.
And now you're going to see this get denied. And now the resources are coming back. The crossbows that were in that tower even went down, Dave. And this is Admiral possibly throwing this a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like the tower play that he did was maybe a little bit too 5-head.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit. He was thinking later in the game, you know, I got to hold him off this position. Maybe I'll get Yasuma at some point. And just didn't work out for him. And what he should have been doing maybe is just massing military and carrying that forward into the Imperial Age.
Yeah. I mean, he still can. You look at his resources. He wants to go towards Imp, as you said. And he's going to add barracks, so he can go for pikemen, and he can drop a castle. I still would heavily prefer Admiral's position, but if Mangonels start coming forward over the next 3 minutes, I could see Senjata with Mangonel Knight destroying Admiral. So I think Admiral needs to be a little worried about that.
Kind of feels like he was thinking, no, super late game, though. I'm going to get towers in good positions. I'm going to get water control so I can access that gold later on. Not so much for killing the fishing ships. That's just a nice, like, byproduct of it. I'm going to collect the relics with my monks.
I think that Admiral has collected relics for... He's collected relics earlier than any other player. Any other player I've seen in this tournament. And I don't know what that means. It still makes me lean more towards the same names we've been saying. Relics huge. And the Knights for Senjata. No, he's not going to produce much more, Dave. He's actually going to try and take this to Imperial Age himself. 130 population versus 118, and he's even trying to defend that important water area.
Like I said before, he's a hard player to kill.
And there's a couple names that come to mind. Oh, man. Viewers, thank you. Looks like we just crossed 40K. My goal for today is I think a villager died to a crocodile in the south here. That's pretty brutal. But my goal today is if we could somehow beat Hidden Cup 3's viewership, that would be amazing for me. But it's been an amazing tournament and so fun. Thank you guys for being here, and let's keep it going here. This is just the first semi. What do you think of that castle spots for Sanjata, Dave?
I like it. Secures that whole middle area of the map. If he gets another one maybe north of that later, and then potentially another one south, he's going to effectively have a defensive line across the middle.
Yep. He seems to be aware that Admiral was down here, and look at this monk. This monk is sneaking back to his base with that 4th relic. This is pretty awkward, I'd say, for Persians at this point, because Japanese halberdiers are insanely strong against Cav. So if it's halberdier and arbalest with some trebuchets behind it, I think that's ideal for Japanese. And Persians, we haven't really seen or Sanjata be able to use mobility yet, but he does get the monk there.
Sanjata sending a lonely ram to the middle. I don't know what it's going to do.
Okay, take out the houses in the mining camp, maybe? No, a change we made was to make it so you couldn't town center there, which I think is really good because Admiral would have, or whoever had control of the middle would have had much bigger lead when having the middle. That Treb is kind of on its own here for Admiral, but the Arbs are there. All right, and the Knight goes down. The Maginot should never get a big hit in here. Ooh, what the? Hello? Okay, I mean, most impressive Arb micro there, Dave, but Admiral still with the Treb forward, still with Arbalest, and feeling good, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's got to be a struggle as Persians here, especially if you see the halberdiers come in.
Yep.
You're kind of thinking like, do I want to tech into cavalry? Not really. Do I want to tech into like Commanderan? He's going to have Arbalest. He's just going to have better options than me.
Yeah. He's trying here with the Knights, but that's been spotted. So the units are back here for Admiral, who does have the eco lead and has a crazy military lead. So cheap to make Arbalest and Halberdier compared to something like Knights. 17 military versus 63 right now.
He's going out to the south now, Sanjata. So maybe he can secure that area before Admiral gets there. There's a bit of stone and a bit of gold down there. Pretty important, especially if you're thinking about Treb Wars and castle placements on this map.
Yeah, he's out of stone, Dave. He cannot take stone on the front because of the pressure from Admiral. So for Admiral, I say you continue to make trebuchets here. And just as you said, take the south because Admiral's not there. There's a mining camp for Admiral going there too. So, I mean, it's just crazy, the level here. And look at that cheeky tower from Admiral behind that wood line in the back of Sanjata's base. What is that?
Yeah, still had the villager left over there. Even made a market. Maybe he's going to trade with himself right up against the edge of the map there. And pushing through the middle. And that castle cannot be repaired from Sanjata. He was focusing on the Treb. The castle is going to go down. And there's an opening now right into the middle of his base.
Dave, the raid got snuffed out with the halberdiers at home. The Trebs continue to push forward here. It's another game where Admiral just looks so in control, right?
But like Cav in the middle, killing the villagers, and Knights over there killing the tower villager. They're going to clear up that tower eventually. And like I keep saying, Sanjata is just a hard player to kill.
Yeah. I think the problem here is losing the crucial positions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you raid Admiral's able to add more villagers, but you cannot get more castles. And if you don't have castles in late game, you're completely done. And we're seeing that now as this castle will go down. That will be a gold denied. And I also do feel like the Japanese comp in early imp just... it makes Persians struggle so much. I think Persians would have to have something like Paladin and crossbows to have a chance. And clearly, Sanjata's not anywhere close to getting that.
Well, he has the crossbows, at least. And they're going to be dealing with those halbs in the north of his base. And he's got more raids coming in to Admiral, so Admiral's being completely cut off from this middle area.
Okay.
He did use that ram to take out the 2 docks from Admiral in the middle, so Admiral doesn't have a water presence.
Maybe out of desperation, you could add fishing ships and make fish traps, but it does feel like that might take a long time, you know? But look, you're right, Dave. The raids. Here you go with some Knights on Lightcap hitting the stone. Admiral's behind in villagers, but Admiral still has 71 military, as he will actually see Sunjata send villagers to the south, and he's already got halbs there, Dave. So yeah, that's going to get denied. 5 relics, by the way, for the Admiral. Not the first time I've seen that from him in this series. Or not series, excuse me, tournament.
Red's trying to come to that middle gold again. Taking out the ships with the halbs, they do so much damage to fire ships. And still pushing in the south. That's a big gold pile he has control over.
Wow, so he's going to place a tower in the middle, send the halbs there. He's still got the trebuchets and the towers here. Yeah, this game is over. This game is over. Admiral is going to go up 3-0 in the semifinals, something I would have never expected after seeing the level of Sunjata yesterday.
Yep. And now he's making the guard tower in the middle is going to be the finishing blow, I think. As soon as blue sees that, I can't control that gold at all. I have no access to my secondary gold in the south, and my main gold is under threat.
Everything.
Like, what am I going to do?
Champion's going to be in soon. I mean, the military numbers seem okay at 30. This fight seems okay for Sunjata, but there's 3 other situations that are very much not okay. The south, the relic situation, and then that north or that island there. I'm just speechless at how solid this has been from Admiral. And it's not a player who seems hugely technical. We haven't seen many nerdy moves, you know, Dave? It's just excellent strategy.
Now getting Keep to put the nails in the coffin, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to reclaim that position with Keep on the field. Masonry as well to make it even more difficult for him. The halbs are coming in from the north. The halbs are in the south. The main force is in the middle.
We found ourselves in this position 2 games now where we see Sunjata fighting, but fighting from a losing position. And there's a lot of small things in games that you can do to come back, but there's also a lot of small things you need to do to stay ahead. Get the hills, deny resources, get relics. And Admiral, even if he takes some losses, has done every single small thing he could do to maintain his lead here. As you see more upgrades coming in, Dave, the bombard cannon goes down. The 2-handed swordsmen are raiding back here. Sunjata is stunned.
He's somehow, like, if he manages to stay alive in this game for another 10 minutes, I will be shocked.
Well, he's going to run out of wood, funnily enough, which he experienced before.
He might kill these trebs in the south. Like, he actually might if he sends a few more light cav.
Yeah.
He could
Towers are
potentially
pretty strong
take them
there.
out. He took out a good portion of the military in the middle, and he's trying to deal with the raids in the back of his base.
He's tried there, man. He's now got more arbs, more 2-handed swordsmen. I think maybe, Dave, if he had like 4 stables in the back of Admiral's base, I'd give him a chance. 4 stables, 4 ranges, something to somehow pressure Admiral at home. But Admiral's not even worried about home. He hasn't castled at home. He's just castling the middle area. And here are the trebs. Yeah, these 3 trebs in the middle. You push forward onto that hill, and you do see a treb go down. But again, 1 treb goes down versus all the crossbowmen, all the villagers, all the light cav, and then more to come here for the Admiral. I think that, you know, we should try and be positive for Sunjata, but I just can't see it, Dave. This is a slaughter.
How many players would continue to stay in the game here, too?
I think it'd be Yo or MBL.
Yeah.
Yo or MBL are the 2 that come to mind, personally. And I think many people felt like it was at least one of those 2 players after the first couple days.
Deletes the siege workshop so the bombard cannon can get away.
Still trying, Dave. Still fighting with everything. You have to respect it. Whoever it is, you have to respect it. It's the type of player that makes it to semifinals on a regular basis.
Dude, he's winning this fight with Persian crossbows. He's like, all right, my crossbows only cost wood. That's fine. That's the only resource I have anyway. So I'm going to be fine.
What?
Dude.
And Admiral's at 145 population. Wait a second. Now the trebs could actually go down to the bombard cannon. It's being microed. Who is this person? Someone in chat saying staged. It feels very rigged right now.
He's going to micro the bombard cannon. He deleted it so he could get the splash damage.
What the? Was that
I've
even a
seen that with
delete, man? I don't
Magneto.
even know what's happening right now.
I think it was, dude. It was.
Right, well, there's another tower for Admiral. I think a full switch to Elite Samurai would finish it. I don't think Admiral's playing with his food either, though. That's the crazy thing, Dave. He feels in control as he should, but I don't think he's trolling or anything. It's just...
You need to mark that because I need to make sure that was actually a delete. I was keeping track on the HP of that bombard cannon, and it died with like 60 HP, and there was no treb hit.
We can look back at that one, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
look back at that one. And yeah, there's the GG. I guess since it was recent, we'll just go to it now. And here it is. So here it is. It's looking at 40 HP. It gets hit, Dave. It gets hit.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
that makes
worries.
sense.
But my goodness, what a performance from the Admiral. Again, I've said it before. I just cannot believe that Admiral is up 3 up over Senjata, Dave.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, with the quality we saw from Sunjata yesterday, Admiral's taking his game to a higher plane.
Seriously. Ah, man, this is ridiculous. Well, guys, if you look at the total resources collected, it's perhaps no surprise. Admiral with more food, gold, and stone collected here. Had all 5 relics, had so much map control, went for the towers. Names that come to mind maybe for the Admiral. Tato, maybe? People pretty much believe that Tato was out against John the Fearless in round 1, but I don't know what to think right now.
Jordan,
Dogao, and then
Doubt possibly. It's
could also be the snake if Ilo or Vilo is not the snake, you know? Or someone like Velez, someone like Back, like someone who came in strong, Nikov, someone who came in strong from the qualifier. This is 2021. The level's so close. No wonder we're confused. Jeez. Well, we're not finished yet. And I don't think Senjata is going to be finished either, but I can tell you what the next map's going to be. The next map will be on Bypass, and these are set maps. The maps are set for the semifinals, game 1, game 4, game 7. And I stated this earlier, but I'll say it again for all the new people in chat. Hello. The reason we did set maps is just to kind of force players to prepare for the new maps because we didn't know what to expect. Ironically, Bypass and Mudflow were picked a lot in the best of 5s, so the players will be prepared for this, Dave. What do you think about the fact that neither player has Turks in their draft?
Well, I think Senjata fought against Turks yesterday on Bypass, right? He went Malay.
He did.
And look where the Malay pick is this time. It's over with Admiral.
True.
So I wonder what Civ Senjata is going to go for, but I think we should probably just get into it, right?
It is Bypass after all, right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's too much that happens early on Bypass, so yeah, we should hop in and find out here. I was kind of thinking like Spanish could have been the pick because Spanish makes sense on an arena-style map. But actually, what we have here instead is Byzantines against Malay. So Senjata in the blue has played well on this map. I'm going to switch Admiral over to the red again. So these colors are a bit more distinguishable. But has been picking teal. And we have seen Malay very frequently in this tournament, Dave.
And the last time we saw Malay was Senjata, and he went for that, remember that super fast Castle Age?
Yeah.
Into pressure. And Admiral is going to go right away with a villager and wall this out.
I feel as though, in terms of the comps and just the moments in this matchup, in every age except for mid-Imperial Age, I prefer Malay. But if it gets to a point where you're talking post-imp options, I think Malay get destroyed by Byzantine. Elite Cataphract and Skirmisher? I mean, what can Malay do against that?
Yep. And I know Malay have the cheap two-handed swordsman that only costs food, but Byzantines, obviously, with the plethora of cheap trash options to use against them. Senjata opting to push the zebra right away, and Admiral will probably do the same thing once this wall is complete. Just sending the scout out there to keep the villager safe for the time being.
Yeah, so I was wondering going into this tournament what it would look like. Ropo. I was wondering what they would do here, because in Black Forest, a lot of players would send villagers forward in Vil fight, and I recall seeing a practice game where that happened, but we haven't seen many Vil fights. In this case, Senjata probably happy to just allow the opponent to wall. Do you think maybe Senjata assumes that Admiral will not go aggressive because Admiral's adding another layer?
I mean, maybe, but didn't we see that with the one guy who went Turks and went super quick? He walled early too.
Yeah, and then he ended up having light cap out. I mean, you can't just assume on this map, and that's what makes it complicated.
Or no. It was the Portuguese pick, right? He went and did someone did a pre-wall and then did a rush anyway.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It was actually the Portuguese player. It was. I guess the Turk player was defending yesterday, but it was who we believe might be Vinchester and Harald Tedrada. For all we know, picked Portuguese on the draft, picked Goths on the draft, picked yellow as the color for every game, so maybe that was Viper, who was knocked out in round one. But you have extra food, gold, and stone on the side, so the middle is important. It is an avenue for attack, but side's also something you need to worry about. And trying to think through what I expect here. I think it makes sense for the Malay player to go for the fast feudal build we've discussed, and then go into eco upgrades. And then for the Byzantine player, I'd say just go fast castle and try to not die over the first 30 to 40 minutes.
Yep. That fast feudal build feels really adaptable too. Like if your opponent goes for some early pressure, you have the options to be able to be ready for it. And if they don't go for early pressure, your economy is going to be ahead. So feels like a good option.
Yeah. Reminder for viewers, since this will be a long day today, if you haven't already checked out the giveaway below the stream, there's a link there. Or technically it's an image. You can just click that and enter into the big giveaway we will do after the conclusion of the stream today. Can't promise we'll do it on stream, but I will contact you if you're the winner of that iPad. And you can enter in a variety of different ways. Like Prime subbing, for example, which also goes towards the prize pool right now. So thank you, Big Tuna Smash and others. Also, we're supposed to have it below the stream right now, where if you're confident enough, you can actually input all your guesses for the 16 players. And we'll have prizes for the people who get those correct. You have to get all 16 correct to get a prize. And Dave, we don't know what the prize is going to be because we have a budget. And if like 500 people get all 16 correct, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting prize. So we have to wait and see who gets things right.
If 500 people get all 16 correct, you're getting like a $1 gift certificate to McDonald's or something.
Oh, man. Yeah, hopefully it's not that many. Last year we had 6 or 7, with the only name that viewers would know being Velez. So Velez actually put in his guesses last year as one of the participants. Maybe that's cheating because he knew one of them as himself, but I think it's understandable.
When does that end?
It ends right before the big reveal.
Okay. So if you want to, I would wait, chat. I wouldn't fill it out now. Unless you're going for the hard reads. I would wait until the second semifinal is done.
I would say put it in. Okay, it's apparently not there now. All right, well, you can't do it anyways, but it will be there soon. We'll just blame Ducks and Overlay Guy for that. And thanks to everyone who's contributing to the prize pool right now with the subs. And Dave, it's pretty much the build that we expected. The Malay player, fast feudal, double bit X horse collar, lots of farms, and Malay are just insane.
So do you think the Byzantine player goes for boom? Does he go for some fast Imperial kind of shenanigans? And does the Malay player go for a boom? Does he go for some fast Imperial kind of shenanigans? The same two questions.
Same two questions. Yeah. I think the worry against Malay when they go for this build is that their economy is going to be so strong. So going aggressive against it feels very wrong, because if they defend for a little bit, their economy is stronger, and then they defend from you and they kill you. So I think you can justify going for a greedy boom here. And considering we haven't even seen a barracks yet from Senjata, I think we'll go Blacksmith Market and then go 3 TCs. Now, I don't know if it's worth it, but maybe TC the outer ring. There is food out there, and it can maybe help your boom and your control if you're out there.
Yeah, but then you have to get loom and everything. It's just a whole, just stay inside.
Yeah, I doubt high-level players are going to take the risk there. There's a lot of people here, so many people might not have seen the video, but I did upload one of the practice games I played on it. And of course, it was practice, and so I'm thinking, all right, let's just send 3 vills out there. It was Khmer versus Britons, and of course, the second my villagers walk all the way over there, Dave, crossbows arrived. I was so pissed. It's like, oh, come on, man. So yeah, maybe too risky, especially when you're behind by 3 games.
All right, Sanjata is going Market Blacksmith, and he is going to click up here. And on the other side, the resources for Admiral looking really strong. This build is so strong, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can make it to the Castle Age at a similar time. You will then have a stronger economy, and there's absolutely nothing the enemy can do about it. Because if you do it on a wall map, I mean, I suppose we could have seen some type of a rush, but even then, the Malay player will be in feudal age to make a defensive tower, Dave. So it really is why high-level players with this build are rating Malay so highly on maps like Arena, Hideout, and now Bypass.
I don't like losing your scout here. I think you just run from this engagement. I feel like the scout is going to be a valuable asset in the rest of the game, like figuring out whether your opponent's is doing, like you said, and TCing the side. And Sanjata realizes that he's trying to get a good engagement on the hill, but Admiral is not biting.
That's so funny.
Oh man, that's such a good spot to sit too, because there's only one tile on the top of that hill.
Yeah.
And whoever controls it gets the hill.
Oh,
bonus.
but did Admiral somehow get it? What the?
Reversal.
Well, actually, Sanjata has 15 HP. So it's pretty close here. And like you said, I think losing the scout is too big of a risk, and Admiral not looking to take any risks. And he just runs on home. So that was funny.
He reversed that pretty quick.
Yeah, man.
And Sanjata is going out to the side, is going out to that right side, and probably will drop a TC over there.
I love this. I'm not saying it's going to work.
With no loom, by the way.
Risky. But I guess you knew the scout was elsewhere. And with 4 vills, I feel like you should be able to fight off a scout. So the first time we've seen this, Dave, straight 3 TC boom. And another time on Bypass where players have an outlook that might differ from what we've seen in the past.
So immediately 1 extra TC for red, and he's making a barracks.
I like it. I like it. Maybe get some spearmen out, but maybe add a stable too to get some scouts for map control. It's a bit late because the TC is already going to be up for Sanjata.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do like the idea.
Admiral knows he's over there. He can see the zebra body. Yeah. Or if he looks over anyway, he should assume.
Yeah, let's see if he scouted that, though, because his scout hasn't been too active over there. Yeah, okay, if he sees the zebra body, and even just the zebra's moving, because the animals are going to move around in the fog of war if there's something close to it, so he should know.
He's also going for a siege workshop. Do you think that he thinks Sanjata is going for some early pressure?
You know, maybe if he sees that, again, we assume that he would notice it if he's looking, and maybe if the enemy's expanding to the sides, he's going to try and punish that by pressuring the middle. So, I think this is actually an offensive move from Admiral, and it's a bit weird too, because it's just a barracks, just a monastery, just a siege workshop. It almost feels like he's trying to commit to a boom and also pressuring, which it's hard to balance.
An outpost from Sanjata as part of his wall. So he's going to have vision on anything coming through here.
All right. So
what were
outpost
you
over
zooming
here.
in on?
The villager was moonwalking. There's been a lot of moonwalking units, so. Oh, man. Well, Town Watch is free with Byzantines, so you can really see a long way, which is helpful. And I just want to explain why, when they both arrived at Castle Age at identical times, Red could have a 6-vill lead. And that's because Malay spend less time advancing to the next stage. When you advance to the next stage, your TC cannot create anything. So if you advance faster, you end up creating villagers a bit sooner. And that's why now the Malay player has the eco upgrades, but also still has a vill lead on 3 TCs. But it is close, Dave. It is very, very close.
Yep. And Sanjata going for a monastery of his own. I noticed the spearman from Admiral patrolling around that relic in the north.
Okay.
And he's going to probably keep his scout around the relic to the right. He's actually healed his scout.
Ah, yeah, he's healed it. And now sees the villager and immediately attacks it. Now, I think Sanjata, this is a small thing. Wait till you're closer to the TC.
Yep, and then garrison everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit too early.
I like how we were on the same page there. We're not always on the same page, but with the important things, like garrisoning a villager against one scout in Castle Age, we're on the same page there. Yeah, get a bit closer so he doesn't know there's a TC there until it's too late. But Outpost will complete, Dave, and that's good reaction times from both. And I think what you mentioned about the Siege Workshop was actually correct. I think that Admiral was initially expecting a push because he's just now made a Mangonel.
It just didn't make sense. Like, you're gonna go for the Malay eco upgrades build and then go for a second TC and then a Siege Workshop. It seems weird, right?
Sure.
But I mean, he made it for safety, and now he's gonna use it offensively and force Sanjata into a Siege Workshop of his own.
Dude, that would bother me so much. The fact that your only gold in your walls is right there, and the enemy shows up with a Mangonel
And
is
the
so
monk
unfortunate.
gets sniped in the bottom from Sanjata.
Wow.
That scout coming back to haunt him.
All right, I see a
And
fourth town
Sanjata
center
is
for Admiral.
Housed, badly housed, building houses with 3 villagers on one side and 1 villain on the. Dude,
Are you thinking this is MBL?
dude, I've been saying it since the beginning. And he's building 2 houses on the right side, near that TC. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
What if we have had MBL and Yo swapped in our minds for the last 4 days? Is it MBL confirmed? The thing about MBL and getting housed is normally it's really bad, and then he placed a bunch of houses near his farm. So at least it fits the bill here, but who knows,
I
man?
think there's definitely a chance. There's definitely
Yeah,
a chance.
I would agree with that. I would say that the odds still say another player based on what we saw from Master of Templar, but I can agree with that statement there, Dave, as you see Imperial Age for Sanjata and defense and a great micro from Admiral to keep the scout alive. What on earth?
Yep. That scout has gotten so much value this game, right?
Seriously.
And it's a starting one, so he can still auto scout that bad boy later.
There's only
if he
been
wants to.
1 kill in this game, and it was that monk that was killed. So that's how high the level has been. As we see an archer range on the right side, so Sanjata maybe wants to push the sides as opposed to the middle, which is something that Admiral might be prepping for. I like how they're both attacking outposts right now with their Mangonels.
So Malay go up to the next stage faster, but Byzantines get it cheaper.
Yeah.
And we can see that right now. He's like 50% of the way up to the Imperial Age, and stone walls coming from Admiral. He just wants to delay this as long as possible.
I think that's a good move because if you're ever going to commit anything to the sides, you need to have some type of an assurance there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
He actually has seen, you're kidding me, he's seen the range, Dave, and something tells me that that's why he reacted to Stonewall the way he did. Because he knows now, if there's archer ranges on the right, he's going to get pressured there. So just log up the center as you see the Mangonel micro is still insane from both. Now, as we speculate on names, Dave, I feel like even if we're talking big names, the players are playing so much better than I expected, you know? Like, the level is ridiculously high. I expected high, but I did not expect these small specifics, like the scout, the walling, the losing, killing the lion with the spearman. What a beast, you know, like those things. So good.
So Admiral's going to control that left-hand side, and Sanjata's going to control the right-hand side. The advantage for Sanjata here is that he's already in Imperial Age. Admiral's just going up now, and he's already starting to mass military, whereas Admiral is placing a defensive castle and has, what, like a spearman, a scout, and a Mangonel on the field?
Well, we'll have a castle behind this. I think we're going to see early chemistry from both. Of course, Sanjata's getting it now, but I think we'll see Bombard Cannons Dave. But I just love this map because Admiral he's kind of okay if he loses the resources on the right side, but he's not okay on the back side of his base now. He will need something for what will soon be Arbalest from Sanjata.
And 2 villagers coming forward to support that too. A closer siege workshop. I really like this play.
And the left side, Dave, update there. There's a monk there that could actually see this. There was just a spearman, and Admiral realizes that the villager's been spotted and is going to send more to stonewall that up.
Imagine she goes forward and places a stone wall and traps that monk in.
That would actually be fantastic. And there's the reaction from Sanjata.
Oh, he could be so annoying with this monk. If he gets a villager here, he could be so annoying denying this wall. And a spearman coming forward too.
Well, he's actually okay. There he goes. He's clicked another villager. Should get a conversion there. I just placed a house there personally. Just block it off because you're trying to push the other side, or you could.
Is he
sneak
gonna
with
send her to the corner? Oh man, he's gonna go to the very far corner with this villager.
Remember this moment right here, ladies and gents. I'm actually gonna mark it just in case, just in case this becomes a big deal later on. Because Admiral wanted to be safe over there. I think Admiral will know about that, Dave. As Admiral is getting Bracer, excuse me, and is going into Elite Skirmisher to defend the right side.
Something happened to the crossbow numbers while we were focusing on the left side. Because there's some weak ones in there.
Yeah, I think.
And he had more than that before, I believe.
Maybe there was a Maganel out there. Yeah, maybe. Sorry, viewers, that's the co-caster slacking right there. Definitely not on me at all. But the villager is really important, Dave. So I think our focus here was correct. Like, there's a range, and Admiral with no reaction to send a unit over here. Oh, no, I lied. Look at the Karambit looking for it. Karambit warrior out there. Why a Karambit of all things to find that Vil?
Well, he's not going to find her for the time being. Still, that archery range will get up, and the pressure is still coming down on the right side. No, like, why no Arbalest upgrade?
That is weird to me. Yeah, I feel like maybe he thinks he's clicked it. Then again, he's Byzantine, so if the enemy's making skirms, maybe just make your own skirms because they're cheaper.
Yeah, Karamba is going to find the villager. Will the Vil... Does the Vil win that fight? No.
No. No.
It's closer than it should be for a man with 2 swords.
Well, I guess next time you convert 2 villagers and you're fine. So, if the series continues and Senjata sneaks again, remember that moment. I think this is a great opportunity for Senjata to start prepping some castles, or not castles, but maybe a castle in the middle, Dave, and then send Trebs in there, because currently all of Admiral's focus is on this right side.
Yeah, just even a little bit of pressure down the middle could distract him so much, right? And all it would take is like a few units, like a bombard cannon, and that's it.
It's weird to me how we found ourselves in a spot again in this series where we're seeing mainly skirmishers. I wasn't expecting to see it twice, and oh, I'm surprised the bombard cannon hit didn't do more there for the Admiral, who is hitting the enemy bombard cannons right now and taking really good trades with his skirmishers. There he kills a bombard cannon. Are you underwhelmed by Senjata's opening with Imperial Age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that initial crossbow army. It feels like he lost his mass super early, and he's given Admiral time to get into the skirmishers again.
Yep.
And no pressure on the other sides either. Like, he kind of killed some villagers with that sneaky archery range, but no pressure down the middle, and no pressure on the walls on the left either.
I do like that castle spot, though. It's got some elevation to it. Still, you maintain your production here, and then your Byzantines, and that castle's very hard to kill. I like that. On the left side, though, lots of resources for Admiral to work with. Doesn't feel like we're going to see a cataphract or any tech switch out of ranged units and bombard cannons for the next 10-20 minutes here, Dave.
Yeah, for the time being, it's going to be fairly stable. It is important to note that Admiral has 4 relics in his monastery.
Yeah. I think if someone were to go back and look at the total relics collected for players throughout this tournament, Admiral would be at the top of the list. I think he's had 4 consistently almost every single game, and there's been a few where he's even had 5. I think game 1 was 3. But I see him getting armor now, Dave, as melee. Maybe elephants on the cards?
Actually, that's the 2 secondary gold spots from Admiral are both over there?
Well, he's got gold on the left to work with, but yeah, it does look like those golds... Well, normally the way it works is they are going to be in the outer ring. You can see that with Senjata, but his were more spread out, I guess. So you're thinking maybe if Senjata can push the left, then Admiral will be completely out of gold.
Well, I'm thinking even if Senjata just holds this area on the right, Admiral's going to run out sooner rather than later. I mean, he's only got 2-3 tiles over there on the left side, right?
This range has still been producing skirms, Dave. I forgot about
annoying.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doing a fantastic job. Right, villagers going down there. You look at the Eco KD. Senjata's killed about 14 villagers, 15 now. And a lot of that probably due to the skirmishers here.
And he's walling up the middle, so he doesn't want to focus on the middle at all.
Huh.
He wants to focus on this right side and be a little bit annoying with that range on the left side.
Yeah.
Just take control of these 2 golds,
Ooh.
hold this position, and don't lose your bomber cannon mass.
Interesting moment here. Senjata, will he pay attention to that? If you look at his point of view, Dave, he could see a building was deleted there. Admiral's
Yep.
trying to make stables. Now, I don't... It doesn't feel right to say that the Malay player is going to go light cav because they have the worst light cav in the game. So it is indeed elephants. And Malay elephants lack a lot of armor upgrades, but they're also very cheap, and elephants on their own are very tanky.
Didn't you say that Vikings have the worst light cav in the game, and then you said Koreans have the worst?
All right, well,
in the
Koreans
game, right?
technically get Hussar. Vikings, I don't think are the worst, but they're one of the worst. And then Malay, I think,
Okay.
are the worst. Yes, okay.
Okay.
Thank you for remembering that from game 1 and bringing it up at this time.
Elephant, he's charging in. He's all alone.
Well, it's a distraction at least. And the bombard cannon might take out the trebuchet now. Ooh, maybe not. Is it worth it there, Dave? I don't think so.
Oh, he saw the stuff on the left, Tristan. He made a few cataphracts from that castle, and he's gonna make production. Senjata's in a really good position here, in my opinion.
Hey, both players losing bombard cannons on the other side. This game's definitely gone late, but it's only 39 minutes. It will continue to go late. The elephants, they'll be a lead in 50 seconds, Dave. And the skirmishers for Senjata are disappearing. He did not prep barracks to go for pointy boys. This could actually be dangerous.
Yeah, he only just started dropping those like 30 seconds ago, and he has a second castle there, which will delay the push a little bit, but these elephants are going to be strong.
He was looking to make cataphracts. He had a lot of cataphracts inside this front castle. Little stone wall there from Senjata as he hops inside the TC. The cataphracts come out here, lacking a lot of upgrades, but could still take out some siege. And they will do that. One bomber cannon down, another bomber cannon down, another treb down, but I still think the castle goes down for Senjata.
Yeah, he does have one behind that, though. He did have the foresight to make a
True.
castle behind. It looks like he wanted to switch fully into
Ooh.
cataphract production. And the elephants are actually, they're kind of dying under these TCs here, and it's given him enough time to get the halberdier upgrade.
Interesting moment, Dave. You have the elephants on the left, too. This is quite a chunky raid from Admiral, but not a lot of areas to hit there. But I can't help but feel like if he can get the halb numbers up, that, well, it's going to be tough to use the halbs, I guess, when there's that many skirmishers. But halb skirm should feel pretty good against elephant skirm with numbers. It's just 73 military. There's 49 currently. And another castle for Senjata. He'll have 3 here, and that's after losing 1 a moment ago.
Yeah, and I like the decision from Admiral to go out to that gold right away. He still has gold on the left-hand side, but this one is the one that's kind of in question, right? If you get pushed back, you're going to have to leave it, so take it while you can. And speaking of getting pushed back, he has to fall back to his production buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a tenable position over there, and the elephants are being super sneaky in the back of Senjata's base.
I know. It's ridiculous. If these elephants actually get value.
We need some, like, Pink Panther music for them or something.
Okay, I have a prediction, though. I think if those elephants start raiding farms back there, we'll see a bunch of outposts from Senjata because he'll think that there might be a stable in the back of his base. I would, anyways, if these elephants came in.
Okay,
Elephants.
Senjata's going for that gold now, which seems...
Little preemptive.
Yeah.
I think we still haven't seen the best of Byzantines yet, and that's something I want to remind people of. Byzantines, they could still mix in Siege Ram. Malay can't do that. Byzantines could still mix in cataphracts, and we've seen a few, but they haven't had upgrades. Whereas Malay, you got full upgrades on skirms, full upgrades on elephants.
Do you see what's coming in for Senjata?
I don't see what's coming
Bombard
in.
Tower.
Oh, I actually saw a tech coming in here, but I didn't realize what that was. And wait a moment. That is, there's one player.
I'm saying...
You think he could be MBL?
Potentially.
Huh. I mean, it's not a bad thing to do when you have that much stone
That's a
and
good
gold.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good decision when you have control over so much of that. And we're not saying MBL would be the only player that goes for that. He's just the most well known for that.
Yeah, he's just the only player I've ever seen in Hidden Cups do that. That's it. But this situation's very different, Dave, and it makes a lot of sense in these campy games to fortify like that. The elephants did go down, by the way, and we actually have a push for Sinjata on the left. There's not a lot there for Admiral.
Yeah, Castle from Admiral is pretty good near that gold. But now with the Bombard Towers securing the other gold position, it's going to be really tough for him to push and take out these Bombard Cannons.
Yeah.
If Sinjata is careful with them.
As he loses one, but still 2-2 here, Dave. And Byzantine skirmishers are cheaper. Bombard Tower, something available to Byzantines. Lots of HP on these. And it just, I think maybe you start to camp this side a bit, Dave. Well, he very much needs to respond to it, right? Because of the siege. But push the middle and push to the left now, if you're Sinjata.
Forcing a good portion of Admiral's army over there, too, on the left-hand side. So that's population he can't use over on the right. But again, Sinjata's kind of having some issues keeping pop-capped, keeping up his production.
It's really confusing to me. It almost seems like a player who's not control grouping his buildings or something, because you have the resources to have constant Q. Why is there no constant Q here on Halberdiers?
Well, there it is again. And he's only queuing up like 1 or 2 at a time, right?
Yeah. As Bombard Cannons go down again for Sinjata, I think he's trying to get into Cataphract here, Dave. He's massing them from the castles. He doesn't have Elite yet. He does have full Blacksmith upgrades at least. And man, is that Bombard Tower helpful with holding here.
Okay, here come the Cataphracts. Pushing against those skirmishers, and the Trebs are going to have to retreat once again. So, for the second time, Admiral's pushed back this position, and then he's forced to fall back again.
You know, you start to see something which maybe worries people who are rooting for Admiral. You start to research Halberdier against Byzantines, and they have cheap skirms, and they have Cataphracts. Not a great sign, and I don't think it's a bad tech, but it's just perhaps a sign of how this is going. We said that we feel Malay would be on a clock here, Dave.
Yep. And he's on a clock with his gold supply too.
It's just a very big clock, I think. He's still got 4 relics. Well, then again, he's losing a lot of gold units, right? He's lost a lot of siege.
Look at Sinjata's res in the back. He could get Elite Cataphract right now if he wanted to.
So many Trebs have gone down for Admiral on this side, and I know that Sinjata has also lost Bombard Cannons. The siege loss is probably pretty close, but we see a push here from Admiral. I'm not even sure you could say it's a push yet. The Trebs will arrive soon. But good luck pushing that. And Elite Cataphract is on the way, boys and girls. Let's go.
That unit, I think it's the best unit either of these civilizations could throw on the field right now.
Easily. Yeah, and with Logistica as well, with the trample damage, combined with the Halberdiers, which are already doing quite good against the elephants. If you get 20, 30 of these right here, Dave, I mean, it could just win the game. If Admiral loses this position, he'll lose the rest of his base pretty soon after that.
Yeah, I think the key to Elite Cataphract is similar to Paladin, right? You don't want to be streaming them in like 6 or 7 at a time.
Yeah.
You probably want that mass of 15 to 20, so you can just wipe up whatever your opponent has on the field. And those Bombard Cannons now looking awfully exposed, as well as those Trebuchets if the skirmisher numbers go down. Here come the Cataphracts.
Here come the Cataphracts. Now, this team, like, they could be a bit stronger. He might even be missing Husbandry, to be honest, Dave, but they're still elite. And all he wants to do anyways is take out the siege. If he can take out the siege, he'll be happy. Could have been better.
Maybe should have waited for a few more.
Yeah.
Before going in like that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but still he killed 2 Bombard Cannons, which would be worth the loss. On the other side, he's going to push back.
The Malay player on the other side, you were talking about only 340 gold left on that pile on the left, and he sent so many villagers towards that one on the right.
So you kind of called it here. Interesting. Interesting. Admiral still doing a fine job here, but you're not only on the clock with gold now, you're on the clock with what we think is the Civ potential. And Malay have done so good here. I just think it's excellent drafting from Sinjata to prep for this civilization to be picked on this map. People asking for forced levy. That's the tough thing, right? Like, what makes Malay really good in Imperial Age is making two-handed swordsmen that don't cost gold. But two-handed swordsmen get shredded by Cataphract. And look at... It's still happening.
That's a desperation castle right there, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Still have to say that Sinjata could have more Q, Dave. He could have more consistent reinforcements. But regardless, he has the position he'd want. He's going to take out those Bombard Cannons. He does have 2 trebs here. If he can defend those trebs, I think that castle does soon go down for Admiral. But Admiral with the score lead, with the population lead, which has been the theme, can he take out the castle from Sunjata now?
Sunjata, once again, really struggling with his production queue.
Yeah. It's just not high enough here out of these barracks. It's very weird to me.
But the elephants are going to go down. And then what happens once those go down? The skirmishers are kind of exposed here. They'll get pushed back.
I mean, more cataphracts are cute, Dave. Yeah, more cataphracts will come in. And these elephants are so weak. The elephants are seen as strong and tanky, but with Malay, it's just the fact that they're cheap. And they go in after the trebs. Will they get 1? Oh, they won't get any, and it's also being repaired, Dave. What a hold for Sunjata.
Yeah, and Red's running out of stone now. He managed to snipe one of those trebs with the skirmishers, so good play, good recognition that it was low HP from him. The castle goes down from Sunjata. Sunjata's also pushing on the left-hand side.
Ooh, with cataphracts, with helps, with skirmishers, with rams. There's not much gold remaining there.
And no stone left in the bank for Red in a couple seconds here. And no gold left in the bank for Red. Nothing left in the bank for Red.
If he doesn't realize that, and of course he doesn't have the golds, he won't pre-buy. So he just sold food for gold so he could buy stone, I think, Dave, and it's going to be too late.
Buy with what?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, that's what I mean. I think he tried to sell food so he could get it and then realized that it was going to be too little and too late. But I'm so surprised how we see all these bad things for Admiral, and Admiral says, I've still got more pop. Like, how is this a consistent team? He is queuing so much on each side constantly.
Yep, and we see all these opportunities too for Sunjata. And a lot of the time he's hurt by little things like the production queue.
Yeah.
Not hurt by that right now though. It's pretty full and he's got enough stone to place more bombard towers coming forward or maybe more castles coming forward. He's got enough food and wood in the bank to keep spamming trash.
Are these the only gold piles they're fighting for right now?
Yes.
Okay, so Admiral has 4 relics and is mining the gold.
Well, Sunjata has some gold left on the right-hand side, a couple hundred.
But it's just a couple hundred. And I'm wondering if maybe Byzantines run out of gold. If Malay could thrive, what on earth are we seeing here? I mean,
bombard cannon being repaired by Red, managing to
loses it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Byzantines only need skirmishers and halberdiers, correct? But 2-handed swordsmen that only cost food, I feel like it could be pretty good. Are we going to see a skirm-only game again? Please don't tell me we're seeing a repeat of game 1.
Well, if it is a skirm-only game, I mean, Sunjata's teching into Rams right now.
Okay.
So he's going to be able to push that pretty effectively. And he's going for a forward castle. He's going to use that stone not for bombard towers. He's going to use it for a forward castle in that position. Then that's going to kick Admiral right off that gold.
Yeah, and actually, Siege Ram right now is huge.
Nothing in the queue for Admiral right now.
Really? All right. 2 Siege Rams, 2 Trebuchets. He's not trickling it, Dave. Here come the villagers with the castle. If everything goes right here, as we've been saying, this would be the position that could end the game. The Rams are kind of getting caught out by the few elephants that are there. On the left side, we have cataphracts and halberdiers and skirmishers, and Admiral's pulling the trebs back. We also do have a bombard tower that was placed in the middle, so eventually wood could become an issue. Most of that wood being chopped here for now.
If wood's an issue, then I think Sunjata has a pretty big advantage because he can go for those bombard towers.
Yeah.
But let's hope it's not a second wood game in this series. Force Levy is coming in right now. He's just getting the men-at-arm tech. It feels like it's a bit too late, though, as Sunjata has just taken control of these golds that are so important.
And Dave, it's not a ton in the grand scheme of things and what you start with on this map, but having 3,000 gold right now means you can make more than enough cataphracts to make this make the 2-handed swordsman go away. Yep. And this is even before that tech comes in. Trebs are still here. This might be it.
I think Admiral needs to look to the next game because if you look at your position right now, you don't really have any advantages.
Yeah.
And if you were melee against any other civ, maybe you could make it work with Force Levy, but against Byzantines, feels really tough, right?
Yeah. Sunjata He has refused to die in the first 3 games. If you missed it, game 1 went for almost 2 hours. There were 30 trees left on the map in the first game of this semifinal. And definitely one of those that we'll look back on as one of the better games, and definitely the most unique game. But it was a game where Sunjata showed that he would not die. And then game 2 and game 3, when he fell behind, it was the same, but Admiral still getting the wins, Dave. So finally, the stubbornness pays off. And I have all the belief in the world that Sunjata could actually bring it back because of the type of player he is. A reverse sweep is somewhat possible.
And here come the two-handed swordsman on the left-hand side. That castle on the right is definitely going to go down. Admiral does not have the stone to keep repairing that.
Gold count looking really good for Sunjata. 0 on gold for Admiral. Relics are important, but I think gold control is always going to be the most important thing. And then, of course, map control in general, as you see more of the map controlled by Sunjata with the towers in the middle, with the Trebs now and the Rams on the left-hand side. Sunjata, I believe, is going to close this one out.
Yeah, Admiral's building up for one last push.
Yeah. Where do you push, though? I guess it's got to be the right side, right?
It's got to be right, yeah.
Crazy. Well, viewers, you're witnessing something special here today. This is the first semifinal of Hidden Cup 4. We do not know who the players are. And honestly, I have more questions than answers after seeing the game so far today. And then the next semifinal will come up after this, and then the best of 7 final. The prize pool continues to rise because of your support. Every sub goes towards the prize pool, so thank you. Biggest tournament we've seen in 20 years, Dave.
I believe that he got Logistica.
He did.
So he's doing some serious damage to these two-handed swordsmen and skirmishers with the cataphracts.
Yep.
Even just 4 of them did it really, really well. And he's got more streaming in here. Those will just completely wipe the two-handed swordsmen from Admiral.
Yeah, then the castles start to go down. I mean, Admiral's putting up the same fight that Sunjata did in the previous games.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's what you like to see here. Just because of that prize pool, because of the stakes, because of the prestige. But, you know,
It is going to be a wood game pretty soon for Admiral.
True.
If he keeps up. But he decides to tap out, and Sunjata is going to take the victory here. He was down 3-0, and that's got to be feeling really good for him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it still sucks to be down 3-1, and you think back to some of those really close games, in particular game 1, but you get a win, you start the ball rolling for yourself, and Sunjata is certainly the type of player who could bring this back. Interesting, chat pointing it out that Red said, GG, well played, in all caps. All right. Speculating maybe on which players would use all caps for the GG. But Dave, go to the statistics here. Do you think that this was always about lasting to a certain point with Byzantines?
Well, I think that once Sunjata got that position on those 2 golds, it was just a clock, right? And as long as he held on to that position, it would turn out in his favor. Okay. I mean, I definitely Byzantines are going to be nice in the late game, but you have to look at the resource positions, right? Admiral was completely cut off from all of that gold, and there's not an equal amount of gold on that left-hand side.
Sure.
The piles there are smaller.
Yeah, you see here more gold for Sunjata, also more wood in that game. More food for Admiral, which I think we were seeing with the skirms. I think a problem for Sunjata, if there was one, was trying to get into cataphracts before he was ready for it. He was just trickling them in for a bit, but he held the important positions. And that was a fun bypass game, and a bypass game where we actually didn't see any significant pushes in the middle. All right, so long way back for Sunjata, but for the first time, we will see a home map for the Admiral in this series. And so what that means is he actually has 3 choices. He could go for Islands, which he's played very well on in this tournament. He also could go for Quarry, which we have yet to see in the main event, and Gold Rush, Dave. So I'm thinking, well, first off, it's very fitting because the Admiral is a naval commander. But also because Islands has always been picked first, I think Admiral will probably just go that route.
I hope he picks Quarry. If he does pick Quarry, I just want to see the map, you know? And what civ does he go for if he does pick it? I'm thinking Spanish maybe for Sunjata as a counter pick. If we're looking at Islands, Or probably Portuguese for Sanjata.
Yeah, maybe Franks for Gold Rush. I could see Spanish on Gold Rush, honestly. But the thing is, this map has a lot of hunt in the middle. If it's quarry, right, it is a lot of hunt in the middle. And I just spoiled it
Could
because
be
I saw it,
Mongols.
Dave. It's game 5, so I've seen the map. It is on quarry, ladies and gentlemen, which many people here call the Pokeball map. And for the first time, I will say I agree with the viewers. It does kind of look like what you say it is. I am loading up Capture Age. And so we have a delay on my end here. Bear with me, Dave, but we'll be in a second. It is...
I have never seen a game played on this map, Tristan. I've only ever seen the map layout.
I've seen it in practice games. I've seen it in a few show matches we hosted. Obviously, we did a great deal of training, and we're going to get started here about 27 seconds in. But, yeah, I have not seen it in the tournament, and I think clearly the approach is very different from both players here. As we changed the Admiral over to red again for visibility, we have Spanish for Sanjata, and the way I think this is going to be approached by him, Dave, is I think that he is going to try and wall the middle because it's just one choke. And I think Admiral might try and attempt to take map control, take all the hunt, and pressure that in some way. Because I don't see, like, how does Spanish fare against Britons if they don't play defensive?
Spanish just feel like that Civ that you're right, just wall FC, try and get Conks onto the field,
Yeah.
control that middle area somehow. But if the Britons somehow get an archer mass, Conks don't feel that special anymore. Or if they somehow get into your walls early, then you're really, really struggling to get the stone income, to get the castle up, etc. Maybe he plays it standard, though. Maybe he has a different idea. You never know.
So, seeing as I have seen games before, and I think you and many others have not, I'll explain what I've seen. I have seen high aggression with early drushing and man-at-arms due to the fact that the berries are very far forward. And I've even seen players who take map control make a second mill in the middle because of all the deer that's out there. So you can push in 1 or 2, and it's still millable in the middle if you want to go for that, Dave. So I'm struggling to see how it's beneficial to just wall up and play passive on this map with Spanish against Britons. And so I think that maybe you've got to go max aggression then in some way, like classic style tower rush with Spanish because you build faster.
Maybe. I don't really think it's necessary to even mill the center, right? Because you know the sides are cut off. Is there a reason to be scouting your opponent's base other than to see if he's walling? Like, just spend all your time pushing the deer in.
Yeah, maybe.
With your scout.
Yeah, maybe. If you go for a pre-mill barracks, though, you start to have militia out soon, and I think Admiral is going to do that. You'll see the house almost looks like a barracks is going to fit nicely right next to it. Is there a certain reason you think that maybe players have avoided picking this map until this stage of the tournament?
It just seems like it's just unsure of the strategy, right? You could wall and boom. You could go ultra aggression. You could play the middle. You can go super greed and push a bunch of deer. It seems like so many questions here as Admiral is running straight towards the TC of Sanjata, but manages to dodge in time.
Yeah, I think it's that.
It seems uncertain, right? And players don't like uncertainty at a high level.
I also think it's a time investment thing when it came to prepping for the new maps. Like Bypass and Mudflow were picked a lot in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Think of how many games they probably played on that. I'd say in an ideal world, probably 8 to 10 minimum. And then you have to like figure in some time. You almost have to prioritize playing certain ones. And so I think either Sanjata did prioritize playing this and practicing certain things here, or maybe since the best of sevens force you to be more prepared because there are more maps, he's now looking at this like, what do I do? So here we go. Here come the walls for Admiral. 2 villagers walling already before a mill and sending militia forward.
And Sanjata has pushed, how many deer did he push? 4 or 5?
Lots.
Seemed like a crazy amount. He's finally going to come forward and see that the walls are going down for Admiral. And what is his response here? Is he going to push another one?
I think the most important thing he saw there was the barracks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have loom yet. So this is... Now he's going to place it. Now he's going to... I mean, that's impressive. But now he knows the drush could be coming in. And he's kind of got to go for some funky walls here, Dave, because I could see the militia getting to the back area of the eco, which you definitely don't want.
I think you could wall to the TC. Oh, that's a bit late there. He probably should have walled in between the berries in that house to the TC, and then you wall to the TC to that wood line.
It's because you push deer, right? You push deer, and then you don't scout what the enemy's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks like it's going to be YOLO for Sanjata. And why not when the opponent has been so strong? Tell me he's going to get the mining camp down. He does.
He's going men-at-arms.
Quick wall. Isn't there still a... No, there's not. Okay, so quick wall on the wood line. I think this is man-at-arm tower then.
It should be. I don't see any villagers going up to stone yet, or any villagers really thinking about going across the map, but I guess it is a fairly short distance.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Admiral, you saw that barracks. Are you thinking about this possibility? Do you want to keep these units in the middle here to see if that comes forward?
Yeah, everything that you've just seen tells you that this is happening, because while you haven't seen the stone being mined, it would never be mined at this point. You see the 2 on gold, you see the barracks, so you kind of expect it, and I'm very impressed with the build order from Admiral. It was Drush, only 2 militia, into fast feudal. So he's actually making more militia, and he's going to keep these alive. He should get man-at-arms himself, and he's even adding another layer of houses here, just in case those towers do come up.
I don't know if he's going to be in time for the houses. Spanish villagers build really, really fast.
Yeah.
Especially if you have men-at-arms poking at the door here.
I think you just give up space. Here you would actually love a fight if you're Admiral, because you can trade against this before this is upgraded.
Yeah, go back to your tower if you're Sanjata. There's no point fighting there.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Even though you'll have the tech lead in a second, you're running away from the opponent's base. Plus they have 4 and a hill.
I feel like you want those men-at-arms with your villagers, right? To punch through the walls, to get your villagers in there, rather than trying to engage against the militia, chasing them all the way across the map. Maybe just a mistake, like a loss in momentum for him as a defensive tower comes in from Admiral, and that push is going to be stopped in the middle, and the men-at-arms are in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I guess you could also argue the man-at-arms could have been attacking the walls and they'd still be walled out. So I suppose it's good that now you have some defense here and you got some hits in, but Admiral loses the scout, takes an engagement though. Admiral's going to win this fight, Dave. I don't know if you could really call this a massive win though, because, yeah, I mean, well, you've got a little bit left here. And it's just archer range now for Admiral, and I guess he's just going to play into archers, which is what the Spanish do not want to see.
Towers have done nothing.
Yeah.
Like, they forced out a defensive tower from Admiral, and that's it. He's still sticking to the same game plan right here.
It's really sick build, though. You know, to only add 2 militia, save some food, macro your way into clean eco, defensive towers. He's got enough on stone for more. Have the archers out. I mean, you don't need to take many risks with Britons, too.
Okay. Did Happy sneak his way in here?
Well, I guess Sanjata realizes he's screwed if archers come over here, so he says, let's stonewall it. What the? I mean, it's either that or you make skirmishers and you spend all your wood on an archery range, I guess. I don't love the position, Dave, but I think that the stonewalls might actually be a decent play here.
Yeah, maybe. He's just going to try and make his way to the next stage. Just now dropping farms too, so he's going to struggle to get up there. But Red, with probably a similar timing, he had to make those couple defensive towers.
Yeah.
He had to go into archer production. And Blue's just going to take those deer in the middle, but there's no
way
for him to get back into his base.
Oh
right?
my God, it's happening, Dave. Okay, so one thing we didn't talk about is that we made it so you could chop through the sides if you wanted to. And it's just one tile of trees. Now, that's 95 wood a tree, and he's made a lumber camp there.
Tristan, remember the fact that Blue spent all his time pushing deer? Look at his scouting right now. He's going to be completely caught off guard by this.
He's checked the right side. Now, since this is scouted, if the enemy were to come over here and, let's say, chop this tree, you could actually see in the fog of war it's being chopped. I bet you he's sending his scout over to the other side now, Dave, which is a smart move.
It's going to be too late, though, by the time he gets over there.
Well, Admiral needs to get his wood upgrade so we can chop a bit faster. Come on, man. Neither player have eco upgrades here. And, okay, mining the gold in the middle. That's fascinating.
Well, I think he wanted to drop off the food from the deer, so he made a building there, and he's just gonna
Yeah,
take
maybe.
gold from the middle.
Well, it's
Okay,
good
so
for
he'll
him to
see
check.
this. He'll see this before the wood is fully chopped, but what can he do in this position? He's going to try and send villagers forward, but he's going to have to, wall a little bit farther back, and stone walls too. Nice.
Yeah, that's... I mean, say what you want about how impressive it is from Admiral to chop the tree, but it's also really good from Senjata to double check there. He checked the right side as well, and it's just, can he get the walls down in time, Dave? There's so much to wall up yet.
I think with Spanish, probably Admiral is going to hit this wall. Oh, is there a hole there next to the wood line?
It's
No
I mean, clear
way,
as
dude.
day.
No, that's not the way to lose a series. Oh, God.
Clear as day. He did add the archer range, which you could have done earlier, Dave. The archers are here with fletching, and this might mean that the Admiral, who is the winner of the Hero Showdown, believe it or not, the strongest hero in the game, apparently, or in the tournament, might move on to the finals. It's a villager snipe, and now you've denied the stone from Spanish. That's a huge win.
That feels so bad, man. He had the right idea. He was going to get the walls up in time. It was just one tiny little hole that got in his way.
And his eco was looking pretty good to just make a market and buy his way up to drop a castle, too. And now, like, you could tell he's scattered. Look, he doesn't even have the proper amount of farmers because he's pulled too many villagers around. He's probably stressed. I know I'd be stressed realizing the stakes here, and that might just be the moment we look back on here.
I think your only solution here is to find another stone, which he's done at the bottom.
Yep.
And maybe send some more villagers on to gold and try and get a market up to balance everything out. That's so unfortunate. That makes me sad for him.
I'm sad for him because of game one. You know, like this could so easily have been 2-2 right now, because of that crazy game one. And then, you know, that hole happens and whatever, we go on to another game. But that hole happens when you're down 3-1 and now you realize you might just be out. And many people still... I'm getting a lot of people saying Mr. Yo right now. One of the best players in the game. One of the biggest legends of the game. And I could see it being Senjata, but I could also see it being a few other players after what we've seen today. I'm very excited for the reveal, which probably won't be for a long time. We have another best of 7 semi after this, and then the best of 7 final today, so strap in.
Feels like he's so far behind, but he is getting the market, and if there's one civ, or one of a couple civs rather, that can buy their way to victory, so to speak, it would be the Spanish.
Do you see how Admiral has put his archers into his towers? He's just like... Well, I can't use them right now, so I'm just going to put them in the towers. That's such a funny little move here. And is he checking to see the left side right now? He's going to check with one archer. Wow, he even finds the vill. I mean, he shouldn't get the kill, but all the right moves from the Admiral. And I think the castle age times will still be pretty close, Dave.
Yeah, thanks to that market there from Senjata. And he's actually placing a defensive tower to push back this position on the stone, and probably also for defense in the castle age.
Yeah.
Once those archers get upgraded to crossbow, he doesn't want them just running in.
On the right side, we do not have a lumber camp. We have Admiral making a house wall, and he's well aware of how damaging it can be to sneak through, so he wants to block this off.
Stable for Admiral. Stable forward. So if Senjata is going to go for some siege defense, Admiral will be ready for that with some knights of his own. I think Senjata, though, predictably is going to go for a castle.
I feel like the problem here is he might not have the castle right away, and he doesn't have a counter to crossbow, realistically. And if their counter did exist, it'd be the skirmishers, which can be countered by a scout or a knight, which here comes that scout. And then the crossbows just hop out of the towers and win the game. I mean, Senjata needs to wall more behind this. Very dangerous for Senjata.
I think if he buys stone, he'll have the castle fast enough.
Okay, yeah.
Although he is repairing that other tower, so maybe not.
I think he'll calculate it so he can buy it. But what's weird is just the position. Because even if he places it against Britons, I don't think you can place it in front of the towers. I think you have to place it more where the stable is. And that doesn't give you your resources.
Theoretically, you could place it with the 4 villagers he still has in the middle.
Oh, that's true. Uh-oh. Actually, that's not true, Dave, because...
No, they're going to die soon. Imagine he goes for that, though.
Yeah, right now, and
no.
loses the castle foundation,
Yeah,
too.
the castle is more defensive, and he's going to lose these 4 villagers in the middle for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know if Admiral was expecting them to be there, but he'll take it. And Senjata clearly paying attention to the castle right now, and just took too many risks in this game. Maybe felt the need to do so with the Civ matchup. And villagers running back to the towers. You see 3 out of the 4 go down. Castle will go up, and that means Conks can come out. And if there was ever a unit to bring it back, it would be the Conquistador.
Yep, and crossbow numbers kind of dying to the castle there, too.
Okay. He did that in the other game, too, where he forgot about the crossbows in his towers, and then they just eject. But I think he's noticed here, and that hole's still there, so I guess he can just run away with everything.
So where do you go with the conks? I'm really curious where Senjata chooses to push. Do you go through the middle?
Dude, I mean, I feel as though if this is played correctly, there's no way you can push any side. You'll probably have house walls on the right. You'll probably have stone walls on the left. There's walls already in the middle. But yeah, I guess middle's the way to go, to answer your question.
Siege Workshop in the middle there. He's just going to ignore the army to the north of his base for the time being, build up conk numbers, and try and get something rolling near that gold.
See that house go down, which means the units can freely move around. Not something the Admiral has spotted, that Siege Workshop. Unless I'm... Oh, actually, he can see it because... the tower's attacking his house, and you always see a little bit around a building that's attacking your own. So he knows the Siege Workshop's there, Dave, but he's just going to walk on by here.
Yeah, that's a big number of crossbows, too. Bloodlines is coming in for these conquistadors, but still going to struggle against that amount of crossbows with the Britain range.
Mm-hmm. Also, it feels like you don't need to take any massive risks if you're Admiral, because you've killed so many vills. And you have cheap TCs, so he's just...
Yeah.
It just seems well calculated right now. I wouldn't even be surprised to see even more walls or guard tower at home, because he's just got to protect his eco as he loses some crossbows, and his knights could get converted. Okay, they run away.
He's waiting for ballistics before he messes around with these conks.
Yeah, and maybe the conks will want to engage before that, Dave. And there is a Mangonel. Now, there's not a lot of room to run here. But blue currently is at the bottom of a hill.
And Red's sending a forward villager, so Red's thinking about maybe a mangonel of his own.
Split micro here from the Admiral. And he also micros again. He sends in the knights here, Dave. Will he take out that Mangonel? He does not. But now he does. And that was pretty and still more than worth it when you have a lead just to hold it with all that crazy range.
Yeah, and blue needs to be winning these fights convincingly to have any chance of coming back in this game.
Actually, he's on 3 TCs. I'm really impressed by Senjata again. The problem for Senjata is falling behind. When he falls behind, he's still keeping the games competitive. How is he on 3 town center eco?
Can he really produce from that, though? Looking at his farm count, he's dropping some more right now. To keep going Conquistadors... and to go 3 TC?
Yeah. See, that's the problem right there. Is you kind of got to choose. Conquistadors are strong but expensive. And here comes Guard Tower. And it's just every time we as casters think of something, even the small things that should be done, Admiral's doing it. The decision-making is stellar.
Senjata trying to batter down that tower in his base. There is a villager there from Admiral.
Oh my!
Perhaps waiting to repair.
Trying to repair, has to walk around for it. And there's a knight on the way from the stable. Admiral, you are so annoying. You're kidding me, right? If that tower stays up, I'm tilted for Senjata.
Yeah, the conks are forced to come back for that, too.
Oh, my goodness.
He's going to kill a villager. He's going to kill another villager. Might kill another villager.
Worth it. Loses 1 to kill 2 and keep the tower up. Make it 3, and then the guard towers actually shot down that other tower, too, so that was perfectly placed. 70 villagers versus 59, Dave. We have 4 town centers for Admiral, or will in a second, as the crossbows have actually just chosen to loop the whole way around and back through that wood line. We're going to see a gate there from Admiral so he can come and go as he pleases.
Yeah, I can't really hit that much res over there, but he
Yeah.
can be a bit annoying.
Yep, in the middle. He does have to worry, and I think Senjata's doing what he has to do. The longer this goes, the worse it's going to look for Spanish. He's adding rams, Dave. And how many rams do you think he needs to be comfortable to push through there?
Probably like 4 or 5.
Thinking 5 as well. 5 would be perfect. Get 5, you can maybe ram push the towers and end the TC. A couple Mangonels in support would be good. The crossbowmen, are they coming? Oh, they're coming back. Okay, we've been debated. I guess he saw the numbers here, and Admiral was a little worried about not being able to do damage with the counterattack. Sick stuff, man. Also, welcome 50,000 people. Getting close to the records from Hidden Cup 3, everyone. Let's keep it going before the second semifinal even starts, which will be soon after this.
And there's the defensive castle. And
Well
that'll really stall out this push. Even with 4 or 5 rams now, I don't think you can do anything against that, because Admiral has a Mangonel coming out and he's got all these crossbows. And we're going to see the difficulty of Conk's first crossbows here, especially on a hill.
He did run up that hill, so he's committed, Dave. He knows he has to stop this castle. Oh my goodness, and the shot, Dave. Don't tell me this is possible for Senjata.
The castle goes up, though. Castle goes up, and he's forced to turn around. There was a moment there. There was a moment. It was so close when he got that shot. Potentially, he could do it, but he's forced to turn around once again, and the Conks are going to get wiped up by these crossbows.
And that right there is why it was so important for Senjata to wall. Because Admiral has the lead right now. But imagine if it was a closer game when that attack would have come in. You could easily see Conks overwhelmed, but I guess Admiral was just able to delay enough. And now it's protecting that eco. Again, I'm still impressed. Senjata sitting at 80 eco behind this. And maybe wants to break through on the right side. Does Senjata not see... Okay, Senjata sees the house walls there, and is just going to make some houses there himself.
I love the way he house walled that, too.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's all the way around that one tile line.
Oh, man. Wow, what a crazy moment.
He's in through the hole on the left. So he does have Conks on the left. He's
Okay.
almost up to 90 villagers now. He's hovering around that number, and he's, you know, once again, Tristan made a case for himself by staying in this game.
I know. And if he can go imp with a castle in the middle, look at those resources. Imperial Age with a castle in the middle could mean trebuchets. Admiral's Vil count looks good, but he's got 33 on wood. As he's going to now use a university, double university to trap these in. What a cute moment there from Admiral.
Interesting. Potentially some clues with that trap.
See, a lot of people go market, so it's rather weird to see a university. But I guess the university is a bit wider in that direction. The market's
if
got...
he doesn't take her off building that, he's going to have 3 soon.
Yeah.
He's going to have a university
And then he
campus
adds a
over
market. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, delete the university at 99%, lose all the wood. That makes sense. You've already got 2, and now make a market. Maybe market wall next time, and you'll be fine. I like how... I really love how viewers, when someone uses a building to wall, they immediately yell names. As
It's
if
huge.
everyone else doesn't do that. Guys, everyone does that.
You can tell who someone's favorite streamer is by who they yell out when there's a quick wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, right? Everyone's not familiar with all the names in the pro scenes, so. As someone said, you don't T90. Yeah, I do. A wall off those islands. What are you talking about? Imp on the way for both, Dave. And now you're going to see Senjata's last attempt. Well, not necessarily last attempt because it's Senjata after all, but he's going to build a castle in the middle.
Yeah.
And so the problem here is it's really hard to Trebor up a hill.
He also stonewalled the left-hand side further up. I like that play a lot.
Learned his lessons, maybe. Mangonel gets a hit. The split micro from Admiral, though, looking pretty. And should be so comfortable with Britons. Every player in this tournament. 8 range against 7 range with Mangonels. You know, I feel like we've seen more... We've actually seen some good Mangonel shots in this tournament, Dave. But we've also seen some quality micro. As we have a castle wall from Admiral. I guess that spot is as good as any, but a castle wall? What in the world?
He can use that position too to push into the middle, gain access to that gold control. I think he's realized that it's going to be really tough for him to push the sides.
Yeah. We have Conks over here. Senjata is going to have to getting a bit closer. Yeah, there you go. Conks could break through that house in no time. I think Admiral needs to castle or stonewall over here.
Yeah, he's got a mangonel now, but Conks can also kill the mangonel pretty easily. And Senjata is choosing just to
Give up.
stonewall up behind.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You know, maybe force a reaction of some kind from Admiral here. But ultimately, I think you're going to win this matchup if you push Britons really quickly.
Yeah.
Feels like all these choke points on this map are just perfect for the archers that Red has.
I think, to be honest, I think Blue's plan right now is to start massing and teching the Paladin and hope to win in one big fight.
Wow, Paladin's an interesting tech switch. I mean, Skirmisher would still be rough because of the siege that Britons could mix in with their crossbows.
You do have all that gold access in the middle, right?
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Certainly a lot more than Admiral has to work with right now. Because Admiral will stonewall both sides. But Admiral has plenty of gold to work with for the time being and is going for Warwolf, a technology that can really help with Treb defense. I'm telling you, this player understands everything. Like, the technologies that make sense in each situation. Warwolf is out of the tournament, sadly, guys. Warwolf was actually one of the heroes. Actually, did Admiral play Warwolf? I forget.
Admiral beat Warwolf yesterday.
Was it?
No. Senjata beat Warwolf.
That's what it was. Okay, well, can Senjata beat Warwolf again? I've forgotten all the matchups. I'd have to look at the bracket again. Too many games in my mind. But what that tech means is you can just take out the enemy trebs and you never lose your castle.
With this Paladin switch, you see that position. It's going to be really, really tough to take. So you're going to need like 30 Paladins at least. You have to wait.
And Red could just quick wall to create additional choke points too, right? Like just, I think there's a house or two away from being fully walled on this side. Choke points just so much better for the crossbowman. Or not crossbowman anymore, arbalest, sorry. And Senjata backs away now. We'll lose the castle. Can you... What if you onager cut through the woodline on the sides, Dave? I see a mangonel on the left side. What if you just float a few resources and really make the paladins count by onager cutting the trees? Is that realistic?
I mean, maybe, but then what do you do against the... I guess, and then you wait for the army in the middle to come forward?
Yeah.
Where you can engage against them?
Yeah, he's going to go for Siege Ram, which I think is a good play against Britons and probably his only chance. Certainly has the gold. The enemy will see what's going on here. Sees the stables, sees the paladins, and now starts to create those choke points and immediately click the halberdier upgrade. Feels tough for Senjata, but possible depending on this engagement, Dave, and it's going to come very soon.
Yeah, those... Now with those buildings in the middle and the placement of those arbalists and the halberdiers there, the paladins are really going to struggle to find an effective engagement.
The buildings aren't all up right now. The pathing's a little weird. The arbs pull back. Now, that's still a nice choke point, and yeah, this is the moment. There's an avenue for Senjata, but it's not great. He's running up the hill. Is this intentional from Admiral to toss away villagers to get pop space back? What on earth is happening? He's going to lose his Krebs, Dave.
I mean, I think he must have just panic sent them forward. The paladins are shredding units right now, but all those arbalists behind with the castles as well and more halberdier reinforcements. I think Senjata would be best suited just patrolling against the halberdiers rather than looking for the arbalists in this situation.
Just go
Clear
for
them
it.
up first. Yep.
Just go for it. It seems doable right now in some way. It all depends on the halberdier reinforcements. There's plenty of barracks behind this. The Trebs did go down to the ram. Dave, it's 150 population for both. Senjata refuses to die.
He refuses to die, but it feels like the reinforcements from Admiral are going to be enough. The paladin numbers are dwindling, and the arbalist mass is still there with the two capitals.
Wow, just barely holding on there. And now you're forced to fight against the Halbs. You have no choice. I mean, he does have the gold, Dave. But I don't think this is a spot where Senjata can really tech switch into anything else. So he has to spam, because if his Trebs go down, this one does go down there, He will not take out these castles. Rams won't cut it anymore. Paladins run through, but there's just this massive ball of red from the Admiral. That Treb's going to go down, Dave. The castles will stand. The castle wall is working. The Paladins are working, but I feel as though that should be dealt with. Paladins going in on the right side, too. This is good from Senjata.
Yeah, I like the fact he just teched into Elite Skirm, too.
Okay, yeah.
So he's going to add some of those, but here's where the momentum kind of dies for him, right? He didn't quite have the food in the bank to keep up the Paladin production.
Yep.
And nothing coming out of his stables now. Archer ranges are trying to go up, but nothing coming out of those either. He is raiding, but Admiral has a force in the middle, and he's pushed him completely off that gold now.
84 military against 17. Numbers so high for Admiral, and so often in this series, Senjata would fight back. Admiral would always have the answer, and when raids would come in, Admiral would always have the units in the proper spots. It's really impressive. Like, I can have absolutely no arguments with Admiral going to the final today.
I think I'm most impressed just by the production from Admiral.
Yeah.
He's been so insane, especially in these late games, of just keeping units producing, keeping them coming to the front line, where Senjata's really struggled sometimes.
You know, the thing, too, is Senjata, there wasn't a single moment where we mentioned lack of production in the quarters. So there's just a massive difference between the two when it comes to that. As Senjata, in my mind, was the favorite going in here. We don't know who the players were, or are. But ting, 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 ting. If we could get some ting, ting, tings in chat. As the Arbs and the Halbs push forward, the Trebs are coming too, and Skirmisher is a good unit here, Dave, but it's not going to do enough to kill the amount that needs to be killed, and I'm just waiting for the slow, grueling death. The buildings will go down soon. All the gold will belong to Admiral. He's fortified walled the sides. Actually, wait a second. Ram push on the right side. All right.
He's going to try and get in there. He'll get some value with those Paladins, too. Can he clear up this stuff in the middle, though?
Yeah.
Giving the Britain player even more gold.
Yeah, and then of course this is just going to be rewalled, right?
Yeah.
That's not an issue. Again, it's just dealt with immediately. Britain's very hard to push with, very hard to push, and now we're just seeing how slow it is for the Britain player to bring this to a halt here. But this is also Senjata kind of shaking his head and realizing how have I been forewarned.
Teching into light cav, so another trash war incoming. It's not like we've seen this before.
As the enemy has halberdier. That was a funny moment there, but the regate will happen. No problems here for Admiral. Okay, I said it earlier, but I'm interested in your input. Are you more or less confused on who the Admiral is now as compared to before the series started?
More.
For me, it's more because the player I thought Admiral could be, like the players that I thought Admiral could be, I didn't expect them to destroy someone I think is Mr. Yo. And as much as I love Jordan and everyone loves Jordan and respects Jordan, it's a big jump to 4-1, if it is Yo, in a semi-final after having to qualify for this. And I'm starting to go back to maybe Dogao, maybe Doubt.
I'm thinking maybe, potentially, Dogao is the big name in my mind.
Yeah.
For Admiral, and then maybe we got Laloy wrong. Maybe this is Tato.
Maybe it's Tato, yeah. I see another unique tech coming in now from the castles. I actually forget the name of it. Yeoman. Oh, of course, I know that technology. How did I forget that one? That's a classic. A nice onager shot from Admiral. Yeah, Lightcap contributes so little here. Honestly, Dave, I know he's got... A lot of people bring him up at various points for different reasons, but another player, well, two more actually, Velez maybe, Nikov maybe from the qualifier.
Potentially, yep.
Yeah, like people have been saying for years and years that Nikov plays, they be in that top 5 and hasn't always been able to execute. Has been unlucky with brackets. Bombard Cannon goes down to Arbalest, and even Senjata, like my thought on Senjata might change a little bit. Like I really thought like MBL has been out, and you brought it up that maybe he's actually made it to this semi here. Still, though, I then think, where was Mr. Yo?
Yeah.
Feels like a Mr. Yo style for Senjata. Yo is actually, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he's ever made a semifinal in Hidden Cups. Maybe that first one back in the day, I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember on Hidden Cup 1 whether he actually made it. We're just kind of, we're talking right now, chat, because this game, Senjata's making a case for himself. He is. He's trying to stay alive, but from our perspective, it looks all but over here,
Yeah,
Tristan.
It does. And it's a slow, grueling death against the Britons. So
Yeah.
it's also, when you're Treb pushing, it just takes forever. And Blue had a lot of buildings here. As you now see Monk upgrades. Big Treb hit there on the skirmishers with Warwolf. Maybe it was Onager. Either or. Is he going to try and convert the Onagers now with Monks, I guess? Okay. I mean, it's tough to do that when the Arbs have as much range as your Monks and you don't have gold. So that is the definition of a last-ditch effort. Being told that the furthest Yo has gone in a Hidden Cup was the quarterfinals twice. I remember, I think Hidden Cup 2, he beat Tato to get into the quarters. I forget who he lost to. And then I know
so maybe
he lost to
maybe
Viper in Hidden Cup 3 quarters.
Maybe he just doesn't thrive in this format.
Some players do, some players don't, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is not a single player besides the Viper that has been consistent in the Hidden Cups, in all of them. Like, Viper's won every one. Like, Hera, he made one final last year, but in Hidden Cup 2, he was a big shot there. Was out in the first round, excuse me, and didn't even make it to Hidden Cup 1. And you've MBL done all right, but it's always been the snake.
Ah, the slow creeping, annoying British push. Every time you're faced up against this, you feel like, what can I do? And why aren't you finishing me off quicker, right?
Yeah, what?
He's got the Arbalists, the Halberdiers, the
What's going to be
Trebuchets,
said
and-
here in a second from Senjata? I'm curious if he says anything more than just GG. Not
Yeah.
that he's expected to say anything more than that. And sometimes the GG doesn't come in, as the Onager was converted there. It won't come in because this is a wreck. These games are live to be seen, but they actually were completed last night. Still refuses to quit.
He's
Still
dropping another
refuses to
castle.
quit.
He's dropping another castle on the right side with a couple villagers, and he's still streaming stuff in. Like, we've been talking like this game's been over for 10 minutes, and he's somehow in it with no gold whatsoever. He's run out of stone now.
Senjata is such a beast, man. Like, Senjata is a favorite for me. After this tournament, I will have loved watching Senjata play because of the absolute grit and determination, dude. And even when down 3-0, we saw in the previous game to fight back. Game 1 was almost 2 hours, everyone who missed it. This is ridiculous. And truthfully, I guess Admiral maybe needs to do a little more, Dave. I see light cav, and maybe you switch into full light cav is great against Skirm. Because the enemy doesn't have Halberdier. There's a nice Onager shot.
Is there a possibility that Admiral is Mr. Yo?
I think there's a possibility that Admiral is Mr. Yo. The only reason I didn't say it is simply because I think Senjata is Mr. Yo.
Yeah.
But maybe we're wrong. Yeah, maybe we're wrong. Maybe what's weird about Admiral is that he's really good. Really, really good. But I'm not feeling Viper. I'm not feeling Leary. I'm not feeling Hera.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really feeling Yo either. So apparently it's a Yo v Yo mirror matchup in Hidden Cup 4. A Yo playing himself, he's that good.
Yeah, can we get some stats on the history of that matchup?
Yeah, please do.
Previous
Thank
tournaments?
you.
Yep.
I think that Yo is undefeated versus Yo, actually. But someone would have to check. And now we see, okay, so now Senjata's going to make barracks. To, I assume, make helps. This guy doesn't have gold, Dave. He doesn't have gold. He's got 3 relics to work with. Is the gold going to disappear in the middle and then this game's going to go on another, like, 60 minutes?
I don't think so, right?
It shouldn't.
Like,
it shouldn't, but it's 180
can't.
pop for both.
no, it can't. He's got Trebs. He's got so many Arbalists. He's taking out the castle now.
Wow.
Like, Senjata can never win against this main army.
Would actually be a unique matchup, apparently, Dave. Yo has never faced Yo in any tournament, not just Hidden Cup.
Wow. Shout out to our amazing analytics team behind the scenes.
I know we've really upped the funding this year to make sure that we're bringing you guys the hottest facts during the games. Sponsored by you, chat. Thank you very much, contributing towards the prize pool and contributing towards what that team earns after the tournament. You know, Dave, I can't knock a player who can stay alive this long. I get that it feels to us like the game should be over, but when the prize pool is so high, when it's over $80,000. Actually, what's the jump? Can we get some facts here? Maybe Ducks can get the jump from prize pool from losing in the semifinals to, let's say, just losing in the grand finals. Because we're talking a massive jump. I think first place victory, as we see a big trap shot. Boom! That's Warwolf for you. I think first place victory, Dave, is going to be something around 17, 18, 19,000, somewhere in that range.
He's pushing back.
He's actually doing it.
What?
It's sick. He's actually doing it. Like, imagine if he rams down a side and starts to raid with Hussars or something.
Okay, now he's gonna run into some trouble. He's coming within range of those trebs. He
Yeah.
tried to make a few extra siege workshops for Rams with the gold that he somehow has. But the trebs are gonna take those out. As soon as he leaves this hill, he runs into problems. And that's not a good sign for Sanjata. But what's not a good sign for Admiral is the fact that he is running out of gold in the middle.
We will soon have no gold left on the map, somehow. To the people who are new here, my buddy MBL, great player who is one of the 16 in this tournament, I have historically called the cockroach of AoE, which seems mean, but it's a compliment to his ability to stay alive. And there's the fun fact for you. There's the stat I was referring to. So it would be about a $5,000 jump to stay in this series. I guess gaming for another couple hours is worth the $5,000. But Dave, is this also not a problem with just the Britons? Because past a certain point, their gold units are rather weak.
Always. He's also... Admiral is not really taking advantage of Warwolf. Like, he hasn't attacked this massive skirmishers too many times, and he hasn't really moved up his trebs. Okay, now he's packing them up. He's going to move them forward. The Hussars are looking for picks on the Onagers and the trebs, but they're not going to find anything.
Maybe get one. One, and then there's a couple packed in there, and ooh, big hits. I mean, the relics have been ejected. Now the pop is really dropping for Sanjata. Sandrapa. And yeah, maybe here with a couple shots, Dave, we will see the end. 1 hour and 10 minutes in.
Yep, desperately trying to move those relics back. That'll give him another 10 minutes in the game.
I like how he moves it there, too. Like, move it a bit further back. Come on, man. But yeah, for him, forget 10 minutes. That might be another hour. Does snipe an Onager in the middle.
That's a lot of trebs, though.
Yeah. He's not able to engage against his main group of Arbs, which is the big problem here. He has to take out the Onagers to take out the Arbs because he needs the skirms to be alive. And look at the monk get sniped. Admiral says nope. And the GG's called, Dave. And Sanjata says good luck next round. Absolute respect to Sanjata. We will salute Sanjata in the chat right now because that was a sick performance. But the Admiral too good, Dave. And I am just so excited to see Admiral in the final later.
If you could win this game on willpower alone, I feel like Sanjata would go through
Oh, yeah.
to the finals. Like, think about it. The first game, Tristan, he had so many opportunities to take that back, even after falling behind by so much in the early stages. The second game, he, fell behind again and then potentially had chances to come back. The third game, I can't even remember what the third game was. The bypass game, he slogged it out. And then here, again, he's just holding on by a thread. And he keeps himself in for so long. Huge respect to him. And huge respect to Admiral, who stepped his game up for these semifinals to an incredible level.
And for the day, I think it's only going to get better. Because after watching the players who will play in the next semifinal over the last 3 days, I think it's going to be a banger of a semifinal coming up next. So do not go anywhere. But Admiral Yi Sun-shin, we don't know who the player is yet. We'll be moving on to the final, which will be played live after this next semi coming up. There's just a quick sum up of the resources there. So many resources collected in that game. Of course, that is a big surprise to me, Dave. The fact that Admiral was sitting in the middle for that long and actually had similar resource counts with gold.
Well, Sunjata was in there for the most of the game, right?
Yeah.
Until Admiral pushed him back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, looks like we might have hit a viewer record, chat. Thank you, everybody. Pog champs and salutes all around. But, Dave, it's break time for us before that next semifinal. It won't be too long of a break, guys, because we know we have a long day ahead. But next we will see who many are saying is the Viper versus Hera in the next set. We don't have that confirmed, of course. And if that is the case, that is a repeat of last year's final. And the Viper has never lost a Hidden Cup. We will see you soon. Before we go... Oh, wait, no, we have to do the vote first. Damn it. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm so ready to take my break. I actually want people to vote now on who the players are because I am very torn on Admiral. Who do you think Admiral is, Twitch chat? Even if you don't know, throw a number in there. Jordan, if you're listening, I'm really sorry. And this is probably pretty poor from a business perspective because we have so many Germans watching to say that it would be a shock if Jordan were to 4-1 Mr. Yo there. But I still, not that I don't have faith in Jordan that he can't bump it up to that next level. It still would be a big surprise to me if that was Jordan. Community's been saying that for a while. I think it might actually be the Viper. It might end up being maybe Mr. Yo himself. And then Dogawa is the other one that comes to mind for me. The CE8er says, no, I'm German and I agree. It's not, I'm not trying to say that he's not a great player. There's a lot of hopes for him, and it's great that he's back and he qualified beating great players, but that's what I think. You don't have to agree with me. 22% are saying Jordan. We have 10% Viper, 16% Doubt. Okay. And Jordan is indeed the favorite amongst the community. Not a landslide by any means. And then what about the player who lost here? The player who lost, chat. Thank you for the Twitch Primes. If you have a Twitch Prime sub available, $1 from every sub goes directly into the prize pool and supports this event, so thank you. The next semi will start soon. We'll have a special video to play here in a moment. Before that, I'm all in on either Yo or MBL, personally. Especially because of how hard they were, how hard Sunjata was to kill, rather. Speaking of subs, thank you, Duck Automata, for the 10 gifted. Thank you, Lurzi, for the 5 gifted. Thank you, Sir, for the Prime sub. Thank you, The Wool, for the Prime sub. Okay, so a lot of people thinking MBL is still alive. I like to see it. Okay. I like to see it. Not only did we just hit a viewership record, but any sub that comes in tacks on to the sub record of this channel. And I hate to sound stingy, and it's not meant to sound stingy at all, because it goes towards the prize pool too, but hitting 20k subs would just be insane. It seems somewhat realistic, everybody. So thank you for playing your part. Poof. 5 seconds. And it looks like Mr. Yo is getting the bulk of the votes, with everyone receiving a vote, but MBL just behind there. All right. Now, what's also fun is when we do the big reveal later, players actually tell the admin who they think they played after every single set. So we get to see if they were correct in their guesses throughout the tournament.